synopsis hidden, boy. Good lord, for all time.
Yep. Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody. How are you all feeling? I am Doug Big in the Czech Republic Wagner. Just in case anybody was curious,
We are.
I'll
Huge.
elaborate on that in a moment. But we are very
75.
excited to be with you all. We
Yes.
have a finale, so this is the end of the season 3 season. So we're very excited you all are joining us for this very special
Big excited.
episode. Before we do intros and the whole 9 yards, I did want to give everybody a spoiler warning. So we are going to be
Yes.
talking Avatar 2, The Way of Water. So if you are not wanting to hear spoilers, don't worry. We are going to put timestamps in the episode description so that way you can, listen up until that point, stop it, and then come back after you see the movie. So
Yes.
if you haven't already, if you have seen it, then nothing you need to worry about.
Right.
You're golden. But just in case anybody's curious, this is a spoiler warning ahead of time. So just be careful. They'll get you.
Yeah.
But
We will
gentlemen,
also
go ahead.
we will also be going over, just to give you all a quick run of show.
Oh, please.
Just to relate back to the timestamp portion with the things in the description.
Yes.
We are going to go over intros. If you're here for Catch That Quotable, we're actually going to wait for Catch That Quotable for next year. So we'll take where we are with the money in the pot from Roman Myers and say a huge thank you for Roman Myers being a huge supporter this year and all the money
100%.
that he's helped donated and things like that. That will continue next year in 2023 in season 4. And so we're going to go past Catch That Quotable because we have of what Brian called a chunker of a show.
Dude,
Okay.
this is a chunky boy. This is a
It's-
chunky boy
It's a
episode.
little hefty, okay? So we're going to go through, we're going to do our introduction, we're going to do check-ins, of course. Then we're going to talk about what our favorite movie was from this year. Oh, look at Roman.
Okay, bye.
Roman.
Thank you for joining us,
Oh,
Roman. We really
Roman,
appreciate
I'm
you stopping
sorry.
by.
I mean, we can squeeze one in there if we want to, gentlemen. We want to make an audible, right?
Oh no, we've this is a chunker episode. We've
It's
got
a
a lot to get
It's a
into. The
It's a
movie
lot.
was 3 hours. The podcast is not going to be that long, so we've got
we got to
a
cut it.
the steaming pile of
I never thought
podcasts
the
to dig
Snyder
into.
Cut would look like a mini movie, but here we are. So
Very
anyway,
true.
we're gonna go over our favorite movie that has been released or that we reviewed this year. All three of us will have our opinions. We're gonna go through the DC catastrophe that is currently happening, and then we will talk
Yeah.
about Avatar: Way of the Water. So stay
Absolutely.
tuned and lock your socks in.
Absolutely. Socks are locks.
Yes,
But
they are.
gentlemen, we have Marcus just outlined it, a very exciting show, but I'm going to kick it on down to Brian Emo Whale Roush.
Hello.
Brian, how you feeling?
You know what? Feeling great to be here. I'm excited, but also like I was anxious choosing my favorite movie like of
Okay.
the year that we have reviewed. So I'm really hyped to talk through it. I don't even know if I have like a final locked in answer. Like if I had to go right now, I would give you one.
Okay.
But it's like that fluid right now. So also
Okay.
I want to give our socials a shout out. Make sure to follow us on TikTok at Films in Black and White. We're always putting stuff out there, and that's where you'll see a lot of like the in the moment news reactions and stuff like that. Obviously, we go into exhaustive review here. We don't leave anything unturned here, but make sure to follow us there on TikTok. Yeah. So just also, it's like the holiday season. I'm really excited about it. I decided to take an extra day off of work today, so like
Ooh.
I'm only working until Wednesday now. So when this comes
day.
out, that's my last day of work for like 2 weeks. So
That's
I'm hyped.
What a way to treat yourself.
no kidding.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I don't know. I'm curious to talk about Way of the Water. I don't know. I need to talk about it, and you two
Yeah.
are the only two people that I know that have seen it.
Yeah.
Which is I think funny.
That's true.
Anyway, that's
Yeah.
where I'm at. How are you doing, Doug?
I'm doing well. There is a potential blizzard coming in that's interrupting our travel plans, so we're bumping everything and moving everything
yeah.
around. So
yeah,
you
I
know,
also am going to maybe experience that Thursday, Friday.
yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's like lately I don't know what it's been, but I've been like, oh, living here is such a fucking choice. Like it's one of those things where like I could live anywhere else. Like I've said out loud, I could live in California. Like, and I've looked at Brittany and been like, we could live in California. Like, we don't have to live here. We've made a choice. And so there's that. But other than that, doing well. Busy time, just trying to wrap things up before the holiday break. And so also as a dad, my kids are squirrely as hell. They are just like, they are filled with the spirit of the holiday, and that apparently causes your ears to just shut off. Yes. So you just don't listen to anybody who says 100%. Anything to anyone.
Going through the same thing.
Yeah.
I totally feel it.
Ears are at 50%, everybody. Holiday spirit is at 150%. Ears are at 50%. And I need
Christmas magic.
I need the magic to come to 100 so ears can get back to operating.
We don't know how the magic works. We don't know how the magic
exactly.
works. All I know, I can end up a chimney with a nub of a body in my hands.
That's true. That's very, very true. But gentlemen, but I also need to kick it on over to Marcus, grand finale destined, coming to us from the future. Marcus.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm feeling good. You know what I mean? I'm so glad I got the fuck out of South Dakota, man, for various reasons. Just for various. As soon as you get off the plane and you just see more Black people or just a mix of people, you just a variety, a diversity of people, if you will.
Yeah, I will.
Around, it's a breath of fresh air in a way of like you walk by one house and it's like the blue line flag, right? But then you walk down the house and then it's like the rainbow flag, and then it's the house right next to it, and then the next time, and then the neighbors are waving and greeting each other, and it's kind of like didn't see that coming, but no, it feels good. I'm in Virginia. I'm in Chesapeake, Virginia at the moment with my godmother and my god sister, and we are just kicking it. Got off the plane and went right to a graduation party.
That's
wow. That's awesome.
Straight line. So we're doing good. The future is bright.
And that's a marathon, because for those of you that don't know, Marcus and I were up early to be on the plane. So Marcus was up at 4:30 Eastern time to be at the plane and ready to go. So he had a day, but it sounds like it ended in like the best possible way.
And like we get there, right? And our airport is like, it don't be busy like that. It don't be jumping like that.
Not usually.
We get to the airport and Doug is like, we pull up. Well, we both agree. We was like, if we pull up, flight boards at maybe 4:30. So if we pull up at 3:30, 3:20,
sure,
we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And we get there and the line is, I think I may have been in line for like 10 to 15 minutes. So by the time that I get to the front of the line, because eventually it starts moving. So Doug stayed behind, make sure I was good.
Yep.
When I get to check my bag in, he asked me what my name was. And I said, my name is Marcus Destin. Oh, he's like, okay, let me see some ID. I show some ID. He says, oh no. And he like walks over to the other person and is like asking this question. I'm like, what's going on? And literally the woman that was in front of me is getting on the same flight, right? She got in, she went through TSA and all the other stuff.
Okay.
He tells me, he comes back, he says, I'm so sorry. Our check-in, which is like 15 minutes before the flight boards, just ended. As soon as he took my ID. So I had to check my bag through TSA because they couldn't check my bag at the front. So I had to take it all the way through, get checked.
The dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And of course, when I got through TSA, I had to get the pat down. He was like, I'm so sorry, sir. I know you're running late for your flight, but something went off in the detector. I got to touch your sack with the back of my hand. And it was a whole thing, but we made it and we're here. That's an adventure.
That's a very intimate experience.
I wish he would have taken me to dinner first, but at least he looked me in my eyes when he groped me.
That's nice. Did he give you I'm sorry?
He actually thanked me because the person before me also got pat down and they were giving him hell. And then he came to me and was like, he said, I really appreciated you for your patience because he was like, I'm really appreciate you for your patience. He said, because people have been giving me hell all morning. And I was like, dude, if you tell me I can't go, I literally can't do it. To me,
right?
When it comes to sports, I find it pointless to argue with a ref after they made the call. Like,
right?
I hate is like
go back.
They're not going to take it back. They may give you one down the line to like even shit out, but
right.
I find it pointless to argue with like ref and officials. Like, they tell me stop, what I'm gonna do? Barge through? Like, what the fuck?
Well, and that's how I feel about traveling too. Because since I've traveled more for work lately, I've been in a lot more airports over the course of the past year. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that like you have a choice. Like you can be an ass. You could choose in that moment to be an asshole, or you can choose to be like, you know what? They're doing their job, and what's gonna make this situation better? Like, is it gonna make it better for me to get in their face, or is it gonna make it better to be like, thanks for doing your job, have a good day, and then like just take a deep breath and deal with my stress in a different way? Like, I always choose the second.
I mean, and with the TSA, like the TSA is awful. Like as an organization, they don't like do a whole lot. And I'm not going to get into it because like we have a lot. We still have Avatar.
We don't have time
DC
for
mess
the
to
system
talk
being
about.
broken, Brian.
But like
see,
also,
Brian, see Robin Myers, why we can't do catch that quarterback.
I will give you my opinion on federal agencies that are bad.
Apparently,
Anyway.
that is
You know,
so important.
Look, all I'm saying is like I don't like the TSA either, but I'm also making a choice to fly, and I also like I don't like it at all. But like, okay, like I'm gonna take my belt off. I know that's what they expect of me. I'm gonna take my belt off. Respect to you, like Fourth Amendment guy who's like, yeah, it's an unrightful search and seizure. I get it, but I also need to get this flight to California, and I'm just, you know what, like we all know what's going on here. Anyway,
I also paid
the TSA is a whole other podcast.
I also paid $400 for this ticket, and unless you're going to give me $400,
it
looks like I'm going to take my belt off and shut the fuck up about it.
And also, what scared me, just as a last point, when I got not scared me, but it did kind of scare me. Because when I got out of the thing where they make you do the boogaloo, they put you in a full Nelson and this the X-ray machine go around, right? So you hop out. And I'm like, what could have went off on me that was like, it was specifically the crotch area. And I think it was like my shoulder or something. It was like something in the neck or something like that. And I was like, I don't wear my jewelry anymore when I get on the plane because I'll just put it back on once I like get to my second flight or whatever. I went to go extend my arms for him to do the check. And all I see is my Apple Watch. Like this, and for some reason, it scared the shit out. I thought somebody was gonna tackle me. It was like, he's got his Apple Watch on, get him! And I was just,
he's gonna call it a drone strike. Like,
I don't want you to feel like that. Just to fly, to see your family, Marcus. You shouldn't have to feel like that. I don't like that.
But the TSA did their job.
But I want to pivot us over to, obviously, gentlemen, this is the last episode of season 4.
It is.
And so I'm very excited that last episode of season 3, we are journeying into season 4. But gentlemen, looking back on the last season, we are like 44, 46 episodes, something like that this year. Looking back, what do you think is your favorite episode or favorite movie that we've done for the pod?
Well, I have a question before that.
Yeah.
I wanted to go over your middle name, your nickname this week.
Big in the Czech Republic?
Yeah. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
What is that?
So as an independent podcast, you sign up for various, tracking websites to take a look at your metrics, right? And so I signed us up for a tracking system called Chartable. And Chartable, like, basically takes your information and sees where you are chart-wise, not just in the United States, but around the world. And so you can like figure out where things are and see where you lay based on listens. And gentlemen, we are very big in the Czech Republic. We can't walk down the main street of the capital in Czech Republic without getting swarmed at this point in time.
It's like a hindrance, really.
It is. It interrupts all of the business that I have to do in insert capital of Czech Republic here.
It's so hard.
It's very hard. I can't go anywhere over there. But we've charted at number 75 for movie and TV podcasts in the Czech Republic.
Thank you, Czech Republic.
Thank you, Czech Republic. We are very excited.
And for those that may have doubted us, check that, bitch.
Check that. God damn it.
Check that, ho.
Oh,
by the way, the capital of the Czech Republic is Prague. I should know this. My mother has a story from there. That's for another time. But Prague,
very
Czech
big
Republic.
in Prague.
And I texted my friend Z, right? And Doug knows Z.
Yeah.
I text my friend Z Zabiniak. Shout out to Zabini, right? And
Mhm.
Z is from the Czech Republic, right? He goes here to USD and he works for the university. So I sent him the screenshot of the text, and Z's response was, "Is this an episode or the whole thing?" And I said,
whole thing.
"No, it's the whole thing." And he says, "What the fuck?" He was like,
It's
"How
the
did this
most
happen?"
random shit.
You don't know about us?
Like,
Yeah.
damn, you should
Your
really
friends back home haven't
ask
told
your
you
friends
about
about
us.
it. It's either Z's doing that we're that popular in Czech because he's the only Czech person that I know, right?
Right.
Well, second
Right.
Czech, but he's the main person that I know, or we're just popular in Czech.
Yeah, man.
So check that, bitch.
We scratch that itch over there in the Czech Republic. So
We'll
yes,
have to do
thank
it,
you
yeah.
for making me explain that. That's a good caveat.
Yeah.
So but gentlemen, and let's start with Marcus, because you were the last person we did check-ins with.
Oh, shit.
Favorite episode or movie of what we have done in the past year or so?
You know, I think I have, for different reasons, I have favorite things, right?
Okay.
I think Fresh is not my favorite movie, but it is one of my favorite original, something that felt like
Sure.
new
Yeah.
and original for us to talk about that we had no past like background or anything with.
I mean, I only watched a preview because people wouldn't shut up about it on my
Yep.
timeline, and I think we pretty much went in blind. I mean, the preview doesn't really give anything away.
No,
Yeah.
no.
But Brian, as far as Brittany's concerned,
Oh,
this
worst
was your movie.
Yeah.
I
You
forgot
did
about
this
that.
to her,
Yeah.
and she is very upset about it.
Worst episode. But I do feel like one of it's kind of hard because we've been doing this for a while now, right?
It's true.
Okay. Spider-Man No Way Home is my favorite movie that we've done.
Got it.
Sure.
Spider-Man No Way
Absolutely.
Home, I think, has been my favorite movie this year. Aside from on the back end, we got Violent Night, which I also think was a good podcast. My favorite moment, though, I think, was the Avatar episode where we just talked about the braids, and I think it may have been just like a regular news episode.
I think it
We
was.
just
It
shoot
was
the
the
shit.
news episode
It was
before
a
we
news
did
episode. So that for me was like a really good episode for me.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, that's a good one. That's the some of the best moments of this podcast are completely unscripted, and we're just like we're talking about a news article from Collider that's like the fifth one down on the list of them, and it's just those are the best moments.
It was our November 9th episode. If anybody wants to go back, it's
Thank
when we
you,
talk
Brian.
about the Oscars, Avatar 2, and Percy Jackson. If people
We
want to go
did.
check out that
There you go.
episode,
Brian, that's
Yeah.
outstanding.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
no problem.
So
Brian, Blue
Yes.
Clone Roush.
Yeah, I changed my name.
Your favorite episode or movie that we've done from the past year?
Favorite movie? I can't. I wrestled with this, but
Okay.
I'm gonna commit to it. My favorite movie that we reviewed was Top Gun Maverick. It
God,
has
that was a good one.
surprised me as it has surprised you, but I keep going back to that movie and how it made me feel, and it just it was just like a roller coaster ride the whole time, and it did a lot of things right. Like I can't think of a movie where that I was like, this is silly, and like it knows it's silly, just like adrenaline junkie stuff.
Yeah.
Like just it knows exactly what it is and the marks it has to hit. I'm always gonna remember that as that's probably the best movie we watched
sure.
that year. It's probably it beats out Prey by like a hair, but I was about to say Prey, but Top
Okay.
Gun Maverick beats it out. Oh my gosh,
Roman Myers-
you read my
Roman
mind.
of a-
Roman
Hive mind
Myers
this
said
week.
Prey was a pretty good episode.
Yeah,
And so Top Gun Maverick, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Prey, those were my top three of movies that we review, not like top movie of the year for me, but I agree.
Fresh was in the conversation.
Yeah, Fresh
Those
was
were
in
like
there.
my top three.
Yeah,
but
sure.
at the end of the day,
For
if I have
sure.
to pick one, it's Top Gun Maverick. I'm going to talk about Prey later, so I'm not going to take up oxygen now. My favorite episode, though, is hands down Morbius. Like, you go listen to our Morbius
I'm so glad you
episode,
said that.
and well, if Doug's going to talk about it, I'll
Yeah.
stop talking. But that was my favorite episode.
So, just as a reference, the Top Gun Maverick episode is episode 20 from this last season. So June 1st was that episode. So you can go back and check that one out. But Brian, yeah, I had as my favorite episode is the Morbius episode, and the reason
hands
being
down.
is because y'all,
Tore that movie up.
Brian is amazing,
He
but
is.
Brian
Oh,
also
gosh.
can be sometimes frustrating because something to
Yes.
me can be so obviously terrible.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah.
They did their best. It's
Yeah.
okay. Like it didn't do it for me.
That's
but
true.
Somebody might have liked it. And
Yeah.
this is the first episode where Brian was like, "No, fuck that. It's
Yeah.
bad. Like
He
it's
hated it.
really
He
bad."
did. He
And
did.
so my favorite episode is the episode that broke Brian, which is Morbius.
That is a
It
good
is.
point. The only other time I've seen Brian do that was when he maybe first came on, or the second time Brian came on and we did Artemis Fowl.
Yeah, and he was
And
like,
those are my favorite
Yeah.
episodes when we can just tear a movie, not
Oh.
going into it trying to tear a movie in the straight, but just like be in agreement of like, oh no, this was a shit show.
Oh
my
man.
favorite movie we did for me is the Batman. Not my
Yes.
favorite, like not my favorite like movie of the year, but of the movies that we watched, the Batman was definitely up there. I also
so
had kind of like some other
James
ones that
Ford.
were just kind of like fun watches. So like
Yeah.
Prey was on that list, but also
Yep.
like Super was on that list because you
Mhm.
remember we did Super too. So like
I didn't watch
there
it.
was just some of those like random, more like where
Mhm.
did it like Mimic is so fucking like random.
Mimic.
But it was
I'm-
it was fun.
Mimic
So
was-
those are
That's
mine.
one of the reasons that y'all should stick around Films in Black and White, because yeah,
Yes.
we're gonna do these big headliner releases, but like we're gonna talk about movies from 5-6 years ago that still have a really big
Yeah.
cultural impact, and also they're like good movies before the year 2010.
Yep.
Like I just like
Yep.
I feel like you go to like every streaming service and it's like no movies before 2010
Mhm.
exist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, Mimic was a great
Unless it's
episode too.
Paramount Plus and they got to pull shit out there. Listen, I got a problem with these streamers, and I don't know when we're gonna get into it, but I just want to say this.
No,
briefly.
let us hear it. Lay it on us, man.
I am one to use my parents,
Go
100%. Streamers, right?
Oh, me too.
We use our, we're logged in. We
Oh
all use
yeah,
our
we
parents' streamers,
password
right?
share.
So now I think every major streamer listed now, right? My current of the year at this point of the year 2022 has been HBO Max up to this
Yeah.
point. I don't know what it'll turn into after this, but HBO Max has been my go-to streamer
Yep.
of when
Yep.
I go to look for a movie, it's the first app I open.
Yep.
One of the two worst probably is Paramount and what is the other one? Peacock.
Oh yeah.
Those two apps I don't like. Doug is
Don't.
raising his hand, so I'm gonna finish this thought and just
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
when they're trying to scrape up some bullshit.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
It's-
They
Mhm.
will find a way to like. I was trying to find the feature movies. It felt
Yep.
like I was scrolling through 20 movies, but really
Yep.
it was like 5 major movies and then some indie type. They
Yep.
had the fake Pacific Rim, Atlantic Rim movie on fucking
That-
Peacock Paramount.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's
and it just blows my mind.
if you want a B movie, you go to Peacock.
You
Like
go to
you go to
Peacock.
you go to either
All
Peacock
right.
or you go to Paramount. Here's what I will say. The redeeming factors for Peacock. Peacock does this thing, and I think it's more for shows than it is for movies
Mhm.
because there have been Halloween, Thanksgiving, and
Yeah.
Christmas. They collect all of the episodes from the shows that they have the rights to of that holiday, and they basically put them in there. So if you want to watch all of
Okay.
the Parks and Rec Halloween episodes,
That's smart.
go nuts. And so
Mm.
I will give them some ingenuity there, like in that sense. Also, I watched Krampus this past week.
How was
on-
that?
Never watched that.
It's very good, y'all.
Oh, man.
Really?
My mini review of Krampus is again, I did not expect a Christmas movie to further propel me into the holiday season, but Krampus of all movies, a
Mhm.
horror movie about the German other half
Right.
of Santa Claus, y'all, it did it. Like it propelled me where I was like, oh shit, yeah, you need to hold the spirit, or otherwise Krampus will literally take your whole family away. So it
I
was
love
good.
that.
So it was good. So and
And
I watched that
I-
there. So go ahead, Brian.
I no. All I want to say, Krampus saves Christmas is our
Krampus saves Christmas.
Chiron right now. Chiron. I propose that we have so much to say about this that when we come back in January or February, we do
Yeah.
a state of streamers episode, and we just rank them all, and we go like down a
Yeah.
rabbit hole. So Roman's saying that we should have played Catch That Quotable.
I have
but
a
we just
feeling
did
it
a
had
micro
something to
review.
do
I
with
have a
Krampus.
feeling.
I mean, it's not too late to call an audible. You know what I mean?
No, that's okay. I mean,
I think we know what the answer is.
At
but-
this point, I feel like
yeah.
feel like it is.
So
Um,
what would you say is your top streamer like right now at the moment? Like your favorite?
The one I go to the most is HBO Max.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't go to HBO Max as often, but it is the most like frequented app that I use for streaming this year. Otherwise, I'm probably on Disney Plus or Netflix.
I would say that's just me personally. Like if I'm talking like household wise, it's Disney Plus, then it's Hulu, then it's HBO Max.
Well, what's your most used? I guess favorite and most used may be two completely different things.
Most used is Disney Plus, hands down.
Oh, Disney Plus most used.
Yeah,
we use it almost every day with the kiddos.
100%.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
All right.
Before we dive into the DC mess, are there just off the top of your head of the movies that we are scheduled to get in 2023? Is there a movie that you are excited to review? So just some notable big ones that are supposed to come out: Creed 3, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Scream 6, the Shazam sequel, John Wick Chapter 4, Guardians of the Galaxy, Fast 10, The Little Mermaid. Any of these you are excited about for 2023?
Okay, I feel like this requires two separate answers, right? One, what I'm personally excited for, and then one that I know we will have a good episode for as a unit, as chemistry wise. Creed 3, hands down, absolutely is the thing I'm most excited about.
Yes,
hands down. I don't give a fuck about another Marvel movie at the moment because Creed 3 is coming.
Wow.
One that I know that we will probably do really well with is more than likely either Guardians.
Yes.
What was the second one you named after Creed?
Could be the Super Mario one.
Little Mermaid.
Sam.
Oh, Little Mermaid. You had another movie in there, but I feel like it would be like that Marvel movie because we're shifting.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is probably one that I feel like we'll do really good on, especially if we get like Stephanie Williams. She comes on to kind of do something like that.
That'd be fantastic. I would love that.
We'd love to talk to her again. She's writing My Little Pony story, by the way, and she's writing a Scarlet Witch and Storm story that's only on Marvel Unlimited. So if you're on Marvel Unlimited and you like Storm and Scarlet Witch, she did a companion piece and that stars. She
also has if you missed out on Nubia and the Amazons, it was packaged as a graphic novel that released today. And then on top of that, she did a Wolverine family Marvel called Family Snicked, like the sound of his claws coming out. That looks pretty cool.
I'm excited.
All right.
Shout out to
the movie I'm actually super pumped about next year. Obviously excited for the Marvels, but I feel like I don't have enough information to like be officially hyped. I'm actually really excited about the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I feel like they're gonna get it right this time. If you don't know, they've done movies previously that were not I'm not gonna say they were great. But I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's got a great cast. I love the cast, and I've as someone that has played Dungeons and Dragons, I'm really excited to see some of these adventures come to life. It looks like a good fantasy romp. So I'm excited for Dungeons and Dragons.
Let me translate Brian for you. The first one they did was dog shit.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like direct to VHS.
I remember watching it when I was in middle or high school one day when I was sick. Like I was at home sick, and you know how like your parents would run to Blockbuster for you? Like that's how old we are, Brian.
That doesn't exist anymore. Like that whole concept of keep going. Sorry.
So
even the red box is dying.
That's true. So I'm excited, obviously, for the Marvel stuff, just because at this point I'm hooked and I'm kind of curious to see where it's coming out. But one movie that I think I'm going to be secretly excited for is this Adam Driver like sci-fi movie called 65.
Yeah, I saw that preview. Amazing.
And the reason why is 65 looks like Turok, the dinosaur hunter, which was an old Nintendo 64 game about a guy who literally just shot dinosaurs with various different weapons. It looks very similar to that, and I'm kind of curious to see how it shakes out. Plus, Adam Driver usually does either something like super sci-fi, Star Wars, or super serious, Marriage Story. Like, so I'm kind of excited for this, like him doing more sci-fi stuff.
He won't watch it, so I guess we'll have to be the judge of how that goes.
Yeah.
So
those are the ones that that's the one I'm pumped for.
Great picks.
But, gentlemen, there's been a mess at DC and it's kind of, we've touched on it a little bit last week, but I want to actually, Brian, you put together a fantastic document.
You want to
Oh,
share your
shucks.
screen, Brian?
How this is supposed to work out. So, Brian,
Sure.
run us down what's going on over at DC Studios.
All right. Yeah, I'll share my screen. Why not? Let's
fucking
do
Brian
it
do
here.
it.
Let's make this a full thing, y'all.
Do
Come
it.
on, it's the season
right.
fucking finale.
Here we go. Here we go.
So, Brian, so for those that don't know, Brian is
All right.
bringing up a document. Ooh, also, that is like going to be on our list. So, thank you, Roman. We'll definitely do Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, Roman, we're definitely
Myers is
doing
really
Indy.
looking forward to when we review the Indiana Jones movie.
So, Brian is going to share his screen, and we are going to
Yay.
take a look at this document, which is basically like a timeline of what has happened at DC Studios.
Like,
For those of you listening, this is not a sexy thing you're missing out on.
No.
by listening to the audio. It's literally a Google Doc,
But we
What a way to
appreciate-
promote the Patreon
Right,
live
right,
stream, right? Like,
right.
but it's helpful.
Yeah.
no, actually though, if you could see it, I'm a visual person, so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you could actually see the timeline. So yeah,
Yeah.
you should still subscribe to our
You should zoom
Patreon.
in a little
Hell
bit.
It's
yeah, you
$5
should
a month.
subscribe. What the fuck?
Get
We
it
put
for
together this
somebody for a
presentation.
holiday gift. Like
Yeah.
it's $5. Like, what are you doing?
Do
Anyway,
it for Brian.
You should zoom in if you can
Hey,
a little bit on that.
yeah,
document,
I can.
Brian.
We're gonna figure that out. We're gonna do it right now.
Yeah.
Listen,
that's
while
why I
we
messed
do
around
that,
Google
Thank
Doc.
you.
the best way to support us in this, you know what I mean, as we go into 2024, if there's anything that you want to see, right, as a podcast, there will be some changes coming, y'all.
There
We're going
are.
to do some things so
True.
that we can evolve and take
There
this
we go.
independent podcast to the next level. And so if there's things that you want to see, let us know, hit our DMs. But the first thing you could do, follow us on socials, follow us everywhere, and interact with us when you're there.
Absolutely.
There
All
you
right.
go.
Very helpful. All right, Brian,
Thank
take
you,
it away.
Marcus. I
Mhm.
really appreciate that.
Of course.
All right. So just a quick clarifier here. So essentially, we talked about some of this in our previous podcast. So go back and listen to our Avatar. It's the Avatar review podcast, the 2009 one.
First one.
Go back there if for any of the Hollywood Reporter stuff from December 7th. Most of the stuff we're going to cover happened from December 17th to December 19th, which gives you kind of like a frame of reference of how fast this thing is moving. But essentially, basically, where we start with this mess, and I'm going to try to summarize this as fast as I can.
Please.
This all starts December 5th. Variety puts out a piece saying Black Adam will probably be a loss. We all know Dwayne Johnson. On December 7th, he cites a Deadline article. By the way, this is all linked. We'll put this in the show notes. He cites a Deadline article saying that the Black Adam box office will be a profit between $50 and $70 million. And he's really pumped about it and references Captain America, the First Avenger, for some reason. Anyway, later that day, December 7th, the Hollywood Reporter has their article come out that Wonder Woman 3 is not moving forward. This is what we talked about on our last week's episode.
Yep.
So go back an episode if you want to hear us talk about this.
Mhm.
About 6-ish days later, about a week later, on December 17th, Patty Jenkins via Twitter releases a statement saying she didn't walk away from Wonder Woman 3.
That's
No.
what she said.
She instead, I'm gonna just quote her, but it's something to the effect here of the vision wasn't matched.
Where I wanted to go with it, they didn't want it to go there, basically.
And she's
Right.
still open to it, apparently.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a lot of wordsmithing. I'm going to be honest. It's a lot of, you can go look at it yourself, but the vibe to
link in the
me
show.
is that Wonder Woman 3 wasn't going to happen the way she wanted it to happen. I think is
Right.
the most diplomatic way I can say it. Anyway, that's Patty Jenkins, and she has
Okay.
exited Wonder Woman 3 officially, and she's now talking about Rogue Squadron, and she's like, I don't know, maybe it'll get greenlit, which y'all know Star Wars Twitter for me being on this show. Like, you know what Star
True.
Wars Twitter did. They made it trending within a
Mhm.
day. So Rogue Squadron's trending. We'll leave that there. Patty Jenkins, I can't wait to see your space pilot movie. All right, so that's December 13th. December 14th, there's an article from Variety saying, hey, that Matt Reeves Batman, that's joining the DCU. Literally that afternoon, James Gunn tweets, no, that's not happening. This person is wrong.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
okay. Later that day, and I can't believe this all happened within 24 hours.
Mhm.
Later that day, James Gunn makes a tweet saying Henry Cavill is no longer going to be Superman.
Mhm.
About 20 minutes before that tweet, you go to Instagram and Henry Cavill says, "Hey, I am departing being Superman because of the WB leadership." Basically, it appears
They said to announce it.
WB is being the scapegoat for this.
Mhm.
And we'll get into the analysis
And The
of
Rock.
this. I just want to get the facts out before we start doing like our straight up theories, because there's a lot going on here.
Yep.
And that is where this particular timeline ends. James Gunn has said other things, but for the purposes of our quick December DC recap, that's it in a spoken word format. So
I have one
here
too.
we are.
I have one too that's fresh off the press that I would like to add to the timeline, and this is me shaking
Okay.
a hornet's nest. So I realize the chaos I'm about to bring to this. Ray Fisher today
Oh no.
has a bone to pick
With
James Gunn.
oh no.
No.
And his bone to pick with James Gunn is that years ago, when the Josh Whedon stuff first started to come out, Alan Tudyk, who worked with Josh Whedon on Firefly,
Right.
tweeted out like, my experience with Joss is that this has never been a thing. I find it hard to believe, like da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then James Gunn liked and like retweeted Alan Tudyk's tweet, which this is all social media-y, so it feels very middle
like a
school.
high-fiving it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Ray Fisher goes, "Great, James Gunn. Now debunk this one," and like
Oh,
basically like
jeez.
posts a screenshot of it. And essentially, he goes, "Great, I would love to." What happened was, I never should have liked that because shortly after making a comment, Alan said that he really didn't know anything about it and should have kept his damn mouth shut. And I, also shouldn't have participated in something that had nothing to do with me. But then the problem is that like moments later after doing that, James Gunn goes and finds that tweet and deletes his comment and deletes the tweet outright. So essentially the latest tweet from Ray Fisher is, the way James Gunn uses fake grace on Twitter is really funny. He's going to bat for Josh Whedon, pseudo apologizing for it, then deleting it immediately before taking his new DC job. Refusing to apologize for toxic behavior seems to be a requirement for WB/DC.
I don't feel. Oh no! Please don't put me in this position.
Oh, dude, this is
I'm not going to put anybody anywhere. I'm not going to put anybody.
Yeah,
anywhere.
you don't have to.
But
like.
I wanted to stay up to date.
Okay, I'm gonna do this. How y'all want to go about this? Because Marcus, I got a little tangent and a little rant.
Let's just break it down.
Like I think you should just start where it feels natural, because I have a pet theory of how this is all going and it doesn't fit into a timeline. So go where the spirit moves you.
Oh, amen, hallelujah. So listen, I didn't want to have to be in this position, and y'all know me. If you listen to the podcast, everybody in check, that I am the Snyderverse guy, and I've also said I got what I wanted. Okay, and hey, y'all play me for a fool now who look like a fool. I appreciated this whole the universe and Justice League was connected story that was given while we had it, because now guess what? It's got to be rebuilt, and we won't see this shit for another 5-7 years. We don't know the next time we'll see the Justice League all together.
We don't
know. We don't know, right? But I appreciate it while we had Henry Cavill. I appreciate it while we had Gal Gadot. Okay. I appreciate it while we had all these people together. That's just me. That's me on my personal high. Is it a win for y'all? Y'all don't give a fuck. But for me, I do. Now,
I want to chime in. Like, I think the Snyder cut, unironically, is like that. And I know some film critics will like be like, "You're a joke," but to make a 4-hour superhero movie and have it be good is
all I'm saying.
That's impossible.
That's all.
And
I'm
Zack
saying.
Snyder did it.
That's all I'm saying. Hold on, wait. We just watched the 3-hour movie. We also have watched like Lord of the Rings shit and all of these other things that are like, you know what I mean? And to do it in a world where superheroism or whatever this category is like up and popping, but to do it in a different way to me was a win for Marcus. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. And here's what I'll say. I think the movie, I have nothing but positive things to say about the movie. In the entirety of my blame and my ire lives with the community that basically bullied a studio into putting out a cut. because I personally hate. I personally think that because on one hand we can say this fandom is toxic because XYZ.
For sure.
Yeah.
This fandom is fine, even though they did the same shit. But when you do it to a studio, it's fine. But when you do it, it's an in application of like standards that bugs me. Like,
Right.
And
that's
so-
a different conversation. But yes, I agree. with
You're
you.
very
I
right
agree.
though. Like,
I
it's
agree.
just my beef
I
has
agree.
always been with
Yeah.
the like release the Snyder cut folks, not with the
Not with Snyder
the,
himself.
not
I will
with Snyder or the movie itself.
I will say this. Yes, I agree with you. Toxic fan base. We don't like toxic fan bases. It's one thing we don't tolerate here. Okay, cool. What I will also say is, never mind. That's a different tangent. Here's where Marcus is with this DC shit. I didn't want to have to take this position. I don't have to take this position, but currently where I stand right now with no drama, no extra bad shit that has happened or James, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. He has done some things in the past. He has had to apologize. He's lost positions. He's done all these things, right? Nobody's perfect. No human being, nobody is perfect. I don't give a fuck what your position is, right? Everybody makes some kind of mistake, big or small. Social media allows people to see these mistakes, and then you have to be held accountable for the shit that you do that's fucked up. That is the biggest part, right? I'm also a believer in giving people grace, right? Grace to grow. I will give people grace to grow, grace to learn just a little bit. Now, here's where I am. I don't feel like that was Ray Fisher. Like, is that I don't know if that's appropriate to handle things that way in the midst of things going down this way for me from Ray Fisher. And I know that this is something, accountability is important. And you do have to like, okay, if you start a new job, right, and your boss did some shit, do you hold your new boss or this new management for what was happening? Maybe this isn't like a clear like connection.
Whose
responsibility is it?
The individual or the organization?
And although he did agree, now James Gunn didn't give a direct apology, but he did say, hey, here's the thing. I shouldn't have liked that tweet. I shouldn't have done this thing. Should he have deleted it? I don't know. I can't call it. It does seem, but it is on social media, and it is it's weird to me. Let me say that. I'm not gonna say who's right or wrong. It's very weird to me.
It is weird.
When you could sometimes maybe you need to have a personal conversation as opposed to try to do this on a public platform and then say, ha ha ha, we got you, busted, red-handed.
Yeah.
And so that's one part. This other part for me is, can everybody just please shut the fuck up? Can everybody just let it ride for a second? Any type of transition, and people should know this personally in lives, to have to, if I had to tweet through a transition that I was going through in real time, in real life, like some type of shit, I can't even imagine having to display that on having to go through that process in a public light from a bunch of random people on the back end. I'm gonna read this from James Gunn and what he said today.
I do. Can I just interject really quick?
Yeah.
He did respond to Ray Fisher, and he said, my tweets auto delete about every let me find this really quick.
Not to give you the crusty cloud response, but
I know, but anyway, he is saying that they automatically delete every few months. I do know some people that do this. At the same time, it's not a good look.
No,
it's not a good look.
It's come on.
It's not. And he got, I don't know if that's true, because the Disney thing that happened, the tweets delete then.
Wait a minute.
Because see, that's not adding up. And now James Gunn, now you fucking dead wrong. And so now that's the anyway. Here's where I'm at with DC and the pub. I'm not even gonna pick a side anymore. I'm not even gonna pick the shit that happened. Here's where I'm at. You got to give people time to get the shit together. I am in a Superman group on Facebook, right? Just joined it like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
They were up in arms about
I believe it.
Everything. When Henry Cavill left, they were pissed. Like they were like really going off in this group chat about how stupid Gunn is and how this is a dumb decision and we lost one of the best Superman. They were really, really disgusting. I can't even imagine as a person having to helm this thing as two people, him and Peter, of like what direction this goes. This is the tweet. This is the post he put out today. One of the things Peter and I were aware of when we took the job ahead as heads of DC Studios was a certain minority of people online that could be, well, uproarious and unkind, to say the least. Our choices for the DCU are based upon what we believe is the best for the story and best for DC characters that have been around for nearly 85 years. Perhaps these choices are great, perhaps not, but they are not made. They are made with sincere hearts and integrity, and always with the story in mind. No one loves to be harassed or called names, but to be frank, we've been through significantly worse. Disrespectful outcry will never ever affect our actions. We were aware that there would be a period of turbulence when we took this gig, and we knew we would sometimes have to make difficult and not so obvious choices, especially in the wake of fractious nature of what came before us. But this means little to us in comparison to our jobs as artists and custodians in helping create a wide and wonderful future for DC.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just let the motherfucker breathe a little bit. That's what I want to say.
Here's my 2 cents. I think this is less the whole DC like scenario, the whole DC shtick, top to bottom. I think everybody needs to just back off Peter Safran and James Gunn a little bit. I think if we need to anticipate anybody else's, if we need to like point our ire anyway, to be honest, this is just more of an example of like, I don't know who's working contracts over at like DC at WB Discovery.
David Zaslav.
You're gonna lose a job or who made the decision to say like, hey, guess what, Henry? Why don't you go out there and tell everybody on social media that you're Superman again?
Yep.
I don't know who's responsible for that. Part of me is like, what pressures look like. Did he and The Rock talk? And The Rock was like, no, trust me, I run that shit over there. Go ahead and put it out. Like, I don't know who's responsible, but I think if we need to be mad at anything with this is we need to point the ire that way, because this is, you can't get people's hopes up like that and then take their legs out from underneath them. That's why people are mad. If you had made the decision to say like, look, Henry has one more cameo left, and then we're going to move on from his appearances in the DCEU, everybody would have been fine. Like they would have been mad, but they would have been mad for less time. The Patty Jenkins stuff, not a problem for me. Like, is it disappointing? Yep. But y'all, you had to know that they were going to etch a sketch this. They were going to shake it up and erase everything.
Yeah.
New. It's also being said, and Gunn also said this. Somebody had put out a tweet that said, cannot wait to see what you're cooking up. That being said, the move to boot Cavill and Godot, especially after they'd announced their return, doesn't inspire confidence. James Gunn responded and said, I'm not sure where you're getting that we booted Gal. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a rumor, take this, for what it's worth, that the only returning members of the old DCEU are rumored to be Jason Momoa as a new character, Margot Robbie, Idris Elba, John Cena, Daniela Melchior, and Viola Davis. And we kind of talked about that last podcast, which all of that, if you're asking me, makes perfect sense. That just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
This is nothing. Yeah, well, and there's just so much happening here, and like I feel like it does go back. You got to let these people breathe and do what they got to do. I also feel like for all the people that are like, we want Cavill and all these people back, like it's like, what did you think was going to happen? Like when all of this got restructured, you saw what happened to HBO Max. Mm-hmm. Okay, now they're going to do that to DC. Like you saw what they did to Batgirl. And I'm not saying James Gunn did that, but I'm saying like this leadership
studios
clearly wanted to go a completely new direction. You had to expect some of these old guard, I guess, is that what you want to call it?
Right.
Those folks are going to go. Like you need a clean slate because the amount of baggage that these folks had with characters in the timeline, it was bad, folks. Like Doug was talking about me being chipper and trying to find a positive. And I can't with the DCEU or what was the DCEU because Wonder Woman 1984 breaks so much canon. Like it's silly. And we talk about that on our Wonder Woman 1984 episode. If you want to go there, it's one of our better episodes. It's just the idea, like, anyway, people had to go. Some stuff had to go. And I do think it's telling that James Gunn was like, nobody said anything about Gal, and they're darn right they didn't. Gal Gadot is near bulletproof. Like she arguably has the best franchise in the entire DCU and the most culturally significant. I mean, DCU got a woman-led superhero action movie out before Marvel. Marvel dropped the ball on that huge. So like
fucked it up.
I would say she's almost untouchable. So like if you weren't expecting changes, I don't know what to tell you.
I also let me say that real quick. Let me add to that, to Brian's point. Marvel is in a good place right now, but there will come a time when things will have to be restarted, readjusted, whatever. Kevin Feige might step down. There's trends. God forbid something happens. There's going to come a time where a shift will have to happen in the MCU. It's either you've told all the stories that you wanted to tell, or you want to start with a fresh slate and you do a hard Flashpoint type reset with everything. That time is going to come, and I do believe it'll be in a lifetime where those who have witnessed that 10-year build up, this now continuing build up, will have to witness that point and be like, well, where do we go from here now? And that's not like it used to be. And oh, what happened to bring? And there's still people in the MCU that complain, bring back Tony Stark, or bring back Chris Evans, or bring back.
I think we're going to see it sooner than you think we will.
Because
Secret Wars.
Yeah, that's happening in Secret Wars.
Yeah, it's people. I mean, we predicted that on our Marvel extravaganza roundup spectacular episode.
Yeah,
really plugging our own episodes here tonight. But
listen, that's what this podcast is on. Right. Check that, bitch.
I mean, like in the next 3-4 years, the check. We love you, Czech Republic. Go ahead, Doug.
Here's the other thing I was gonna say. I think the other thing is if my choices as a producer, if my choices as a producer are like I have to like deal with people comparing how I use an actor versus how the previous popular person used an actor, this is avoiding further segmentation. So if we're thinking about trying to unite a group of people around a brand and a vision moving forward, you can't have old opinions out there. So you need to kill them. And the only way to do that is to rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah. And so for me, it makes sense that you said, like, no, we're moving away from Cavill, because here's the bullshit that happens. Let's say you use him. And let's say you do something like, James Gunn did tweet out that cover to Kingdom Come. So let's say that's the storyline.
Oh my gosh. People took that way too literally.
Way too seriously.
Do you think for any reason that there aren't going to be people out there that your Restore the Snyderverse people who might tweet something that says like, oh man, I can't believe they underutilized Henry's talents like Zack Snyder was able to get Gunn out of there. That is not the conversation you want to have to sort through. You want to be able to say, I love new person's performance. They did awesome. Let's move forward. Now, can you control for the rabble rousers? No, but if you can get it down to like 10% versus 30, it's a lot easier to control the narrative and to build the hype.
Can we go back to like season 1, season 2 of this podcast, right? Hold on.
Yes, we may.
I mean,
I want to go back to like season 1 or season 2 of this podcast, right?
Okay.
When you just told people
on the main stage
to just shut the fuck up. Everything you say, everything you think does not me. I'm deleting Twitter in 2023.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have no holds to tweeting every single thought that I have. Do I put out dumb shit? Of course. Yes, of course. But listen, here's the thing. And this is the part that's sponsored by Rumplemans. Everybody just shut the fuck up. Because there's no way, even with the new person that comes in and Gunn taking an absolutely different direction, there's still going to be people who hate that too.
Oh,
okay. And even coming back on the main stage.
Okay.
Let me say this. In your life. Okay. Can everybody still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
Okay. In your life, you are going to make decisions that will change everything for you. Okay?
That's true.
You're going to make decisions that is going to change everything for you. All right? And people are not going to like every decision that you are going to make. But guess what? True. It benefits the circle and the world around you. And you have to make the decision to say, hey, guess what? I'm doing this for the betterment of my family, me, my children, my so-and-so, insert whatever here. And at some point, you have to disregard the noise and keep pushing forward. At some point, James Gunn is going to stop responding to you assholes because he's got a fucking job to do. Guess what he's doing? He's running this shit. Guess what you're doing? On a fucking keyboard.
That's
right?
a good point.
You are brave behind a keyboard to criticize every single fucking move of people behind the fucking keyboard.
Oh, he's straight muted. So he's not with us. We lost him.
There comes a point where you just have to move the fuck on. There you go.
You're right. And I think the only reason why we're getting such interactions with James Gunn is, and I think it's because I think there was a lot of criticism of the old administration over at DC not being transparent and not being accessible and feeling like they were making decisions in the dark. Mm-hmm. And so, if anything, I feel like any response we get for him, whether I like it or not, is an improvement. And I'm going to count that as a win.
I agree.
And I think, Marcus, you're absolutely right. At some point in time, he's going to become like Kevin Feige. He's going to get to a point where he just does not have the brain space to think about like the response. So
as far as the Ray Fisher thing too, I just want to walk that back a little bit. I don't know. I'm not involved in that situation, and I'm not involved in Death Enough. And this podcast is never one that really pick sides when it comes to that. We pick sides when it comes to if it's major, right. My mama always says right is right, and wrong is wrong. And at the basis of that, we know which side we fall on when it comes to topics, decisions, anything major that absolutely happens. This particular situation, at the time, I feel like I'm not in a good place to say whether Ray Fisher or James Gunn is correct because they are humans. They are in a different type of pedestal, different type of spotlight. I have personal disagreements with how I think you should go about that as I would go about things if I was Ray Fisher. But so I do want to take that back. I can't say what's right or wrong and how you go about if you should delete your tweet or not. I'm prone to delete some shit if I say some fucked up shit too. So I don't know.
Yeah. Brian?
I think the last thing I want to say here is that so much of this, I think that the most confusing thing to me as you look at this timeline, is the idea that Henry Cavill like left The Witcher. And it's not because I like The Witcher. Mm-hmm. I do. I love The Witcher. I've played The Witcher 3. And I enjoy the show. However, I think it's wild that somehow along the way, Henry Cavill made this decision to be like, I'm just going to walk away from this wildly successful show, not even having a contract, it appears, just to be like, to have the chance to play Superman.
Yeah.
And I at this level, I don't know how that happens. Like, I don't know if that's your manager. I don't know if that's like WB. And I'm not going to like Monday morning quarterback his decisions, but absolutely wild. This guy took a risk, like straight up went, like he did the Black Adam cameo. Dwayne Johnson did it, even though it appears reports suggest Hamada, who was the head of WB DC at that time, he did not want it to happen.
He did not. They were going in a completely different direction.
Yeah, they made it happen. And then here's Henry Cavill on the weekend being like, hey, go see Black Adam. I'm in it. I don't know how it gets to that point. And then you meet with the new leadership and they're like, actually, like, no, did nobody tell you? Like, we're under new management. Everybody, everything must go. It's a fire sale. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what miscommunication happened there. It's weird.
I also don't know.
And it's just a colossal like WTF moment for me because like if I was Henry Cavill, I would feel embarrassed. I told people I'm Superman and I'm back, and a month later I'm on Instagram doing a text statement from my notes app. He didn't, but pretty close. I can't believe it happened like this. Like,
he did the one thing. To me. He did the one thing that they always tell you not to do. Like, don't quit a job if you don't have one lined up. Like,
I'm gonna add to that. Comicbook.com put out an article today that said it was about this particular topic. After season 3, Liam Hemsworth will be playing Geralt of Rivia in Netflix's Witcher series. People assumed that Cavill stepped away to take up the Superman mantle. But it's saying, however, reports from various sources have claimed the real reason Cavill has stepped away is due to creative differences with the writers and producers of the show.
Yes.
So now Nobody knows what's what, and that's all kind of what was said today. But
Yeah.
I know we have been saying that like he left The Witcher to be, become Superman, and we assume that because of the Superman schedule will be busy.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm not familiar with The Witcher. Apparently, The Witcher, the show, deviates a lot from the source material.
It's like the shortest way I can explain it is that The Witcher books and like the video game, it's all very different sources. And like I know some of like when you're trying to make something for television, you're leaving stuff out. And Henry Cavill was a guy on set that was like, no, like that didn't happen in the book because of XYZ, and was like correcting the writers in real time as they were shooting stuff. So like I think that's plausible of him being like, they don't respect the source material. I'm out of here.
Yeah. And it's also important to point out that the video games and the graphic novels are not a connected universe.
Oh,
yeah. Technically, the video games are like
they
not
are entirely
connected to the main universe.
They are inspired by the graphic novel.
Yeah.
So you can go down a whole like graphic novel rabbit hole if you want to. And then you
like
can play
DC,
the game
where everything's connected. The TV, animation, and the movies and the games.
And the books are its own thing, and then the game is like after that. It's like this isn't the Witcher podcast episode, but anyway, Henry Cavill had opinions about the story.
Yeah,
is what I've heard.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for that rundown. That was outstanding.
I mean, congratulations to Gal Gadot. You have survived, it appears. We can't wait to see what you make with the new regime. Well done. Congratulations.
Yeah. Kudos. But you know who is building himself a connected universe?
Who's that, Doug?
Our man, James Cameron.
Tell me more.
He is building y'all a whole universe of blue people for us to follow, which is outstanding. And it seems as if his movies, very similar to Rabbits, just exponentially get longer, because we had 2 hours and like 20 minutes Avatar, then we had 3 hours. This motherfucker has a 9-hour cut of Avatar 3. So in the next one will be 18 hours. The one after that will be 36 hours, and we'll be able to watch a whole fucking month's worth of this shit. If you haven't guessed, this is our warning for spoilers. Again,
what a hell of a warning.
Avatar 3
like,
or Avatar.
If you're watching the live cast, this is when it's going to happen. Avatar, Way of the Water spoilers.
Yep. And this one is also sponsored by Rumplemints. This whole episode sponsored by Rumplemints.
3 hours.
Why not?
That one kind of bit me back.
Maybe we dial back the sponsorship just before you get hurt.
No, it's fine.
That's fine. No, it's fine.
Go. We want more.
But gentlemen, who among us would like to cover the barbershop summary for Avatar: The Way of Water?
Okay, check it, yo. They blue, right?
All right, let's go. I'm in my seat.
Peep it. They are blue.
My socks are strapped.
They're blue. Okay. There's two. It started off with 2 of them. Then all of a sudden, poof, there's 4 of these motherfuckers, right? So they are much like the movies is like rabbit exponentially increasing. They fucking like rabbits too. Okay. All right. So boom, there's 4 of them. We find Jake and his wife. What was her name?
Natiri.
Natiri. We find Jake.
I got you.
Thank you. I might need you more than you know, Brian. So listen, we have Jake and his wife Natiri, right? We find them back where they were as this unit. They're this power couple, sexy blue power couple. You know what I mean? He is now he is the go-to person. I don't want to say chief because I don't like that terminology, but he is the leader, thank you, of that clan in the forest, of the avatars in that world. Okay, so after we left him in 1, he became an actual avatar. Now he is like the leader of the avatar people, right? Boom. That's 1 star. Jake is telling us about the story of his family and his 4 kids. You got to look the names up yourself, or we'll look them up a little bit later as we go.
I'll run down cast after the barbershop.
Perfect. Okay, so boom. After that, right? We go and we thought that the general was dead after they fought in the giant robot. Turns out him and his crew, they had a backup plan for memories, to put the memories and the ideas and the personality of the general and his crew and everybody that died before the fight in the first one into like a little tube, and then they shipped it back to save it so they can upload them later like a PlayStation 2. So they uploaded them into the bodies of new Avatar people, right?
That's perfect.
Best way to put it.
So you basically got the general and his crew of mercenaries and all that other stuff. They are now blue people, and they have everything like the Avatar. They know the language of the Avatar and all that other shit like that. It was said that, hey, you won't remember how you died, but the top of the person on your list to get revenge against is Jake Sully, because more than likely he had something to do with that shit. So they go, that's the last thing the person remembers. There's also another kid who is a kid to the general, right? His name is Spider, but his was his name Malachi or something? He just had another real name. Miles.
They kept calling him Spider though.
So they really kept calling him Spider. Spider is more like a Tarzan-y type character. Okay, so the general goes and finds Spider. He captures Spider, and he's like trying to be friends with him so he can learn more about where Jake is. Because when the people came back to the planet, right? They came back to the planet, and the goal is no longer to get unobtainium. It is to make and prime this planet to be a new Earth, because Earth is dying. Right? So boom, there's a battle for Pandora. They realize, oh shit, the general is looking for me. Jake says, we got to move our family from here to this new location of a different type of Avatar. Okay. Think like this. There are so many different types of like indigenous peoples and communities and how people do different things like that. If you need a different example, you know how you got like Africans, right? There, Africa is a country. Africa is a country, but they're like, you know what I mean? Well, Africa is a continent. I'm sorry. That's the wrong woman talking. Africa is a continent, and then there's different countries that do different types of like things within it culturally, right? So basically, they go to this different Avatar place, and they are sea people. They're not like forest people, so they do different things. Jake is asking the people, "Hey, I need to stay here and do my family." They say, "Listen, brother, you're gonna have to like carry your own weight and do this type of shit. We don't want your war, but if you're gonna be here, you got to carry your own weight." So they do that. So then they're all trying to get adjusted. The general finds them, threatens the kids. People come in, hell breaks loose at the Sea Avatar people place. Then there's this grand fight and finale where Jake has to determine if he's a father or if he's a soldier and a leader, and he has to be there for his kids, and then he's got to he's got to vindicate his kids and defend his kids and fight against the general. And that's basically all of Avatar.
I mean, that's basically it. Nuts and bolts. Couple of details to go over. Let's go over cast, and then I want to talk a little bit about box office. So Sam Worthington comes back and plays Jake. Zoe Saldana plays Neytiri. Sigourney Weaver plays one of their kids, Kiri.
Jesus.
Stephen Lang, aka Water Jesus. Stephen Lang comes back as Quaritch, which is his colonel's name. Kate Winslet plays Ronald. Cliff Curtis plays the leader of the water people, Tonawari. CCH Pounder plays Moat. Edie Falco's in this as one of the generals. Jermaine Clement plays Dr. Garvin. Britton Dalton plays Loak. Trinity Jolie Bliss plays Took. Jack Champion plays Spider. Bailey Bass plays Tessira. Flip Geljo plays Anyang. No, that's not right. Anyang is from Arrested Development. That's my best pronunciation.
I'll see if I know this.
Anyang?
I don't know.
Or to Doug, it's Anyang, which I'm acknowledging now is wrong.
It's one of the Way of the Water kids.
We'll figure it out together, y'all. No biggie.
But so that's the cast, broadly speaking. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So this movie opened up to $134 million nationally, $435 million globally. It's basically about $175 to $150 million short of its projections. The big thing here is that this is where I think we kind of have to, and I'm going to spend a majority of this movie talking about James Cameron, but this is where we kind of have to like turn our attention on James Cameron a little bit, because he has said that it needs to make $2 billion in order for it to be successful. However, the budget for this movie was $460 million after what they call P&A, which I imagine is promotion and advertising.
Oh, that's not what I thought it was. That was not the
direction. This is an adult podcast. We're not a kids podcast.
After P&A, was a little often confused with T&A.
Penis and ass.
Nope. Okay,
No.
we're good.
We're
But
gonna
after
move right
production
on
and
forward.
I
advertising.
thought we were an adult podcast. Why everybody be out so quick?
So that's where this is a little confusing because he's basically said, like, if you don't want this shit and it doesn't make $2 billion, I guess I just won't do 4 and 5.
Like, everything he
It's gotta go to
says
your head.
sounds
It's
like a
gonna-
threat, and I will not expand. But
If I don't get
every
$1 billion,
headline, it's
I
like
swear.
James Cameron says he won't make
I'll
Avatar
do it.
4 and
I'll
5
swear.
if you don't
Yeah.
go see it.
But gentlemen,
Hmm?
thoughts
No,
on
Doug, what are your thoughts on Avatar?
Here are my
we sat
thoughts.
in a theater for 3 hours and 10 minutes with our friends. Mind you, support your local theater. Also,
Yes.
I snuck in candy because they
It's
don't have Bunch of
true.
Crunch.
He did.
And I ran into other people sneaking in candy because we don't have Bunch of Crunch.
Yeah, this is that's
Actually,
exactly.
Can we cut that from the
No, we can't.
Miss Shayna, I'm so
Uh,
sorry. Y'all just got to get some Bunch of Crunch and then
Yeah.
I'll be good to go.
Here's my thought. This movie did not need to be 3 hours long, first of all.
No.
Second of all,
No.
it is visually amazing.
Stunning.
I will say my biggest thing that I've noticed that I didn't realize, but I've heard other people kind of talk about here and there is, do you understand that they seamlessly integrated somebody who wasn't CGI with everything else that was CGI, and your brain never once went, that looks weird.
Yeah, that's true. Which is
Like,
hard to do.
Spider was a human, not doing
Mhm.
motion cap, but he was a human that was fully integrated with the background that was created. And that
Yeah.
is holy shit
how they do.
impressive.
How do you do? Do you have to motion cap him a little bit in order to adjust to?
They must have
That's
put
a
him on a
good
green
question.
screen, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that dude did every scene like that.
Just-
and
yeah,
I'm
just
almost
him.
positive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so interesting.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
the water sequences, I
Really
mean,
good.
were incredible. So this movie, top to bottom, visually is outstanding.
Yeah.
I will say that I wish the story was enthralling enough to match the visuals, because for me, the story fell short.
What?
Yes, to me,
Yeah.
the story fell a little bit short because I felt like,
Get his ass.
although
right.
there were like bits and pieces, and I'm just going right into how I feel about this.
No, let's
Although
just
it
do
was
it.
No, let's do
Although
it.
there were bits and pieces of it that I really enjoyed and that like cut me deep, like the whale hunting scene where they're talking about the whales
was
and you're actually
hard.
watching
Oof.
that happen. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I
That was
fucking
tough.
hate this so much. But
Yeah.
that, I mean, and thinking about that, it was all like rendered and created to have that emotional response is impressive. It did feel like there were similar tropes to this movie that were in the first one that were sort of recycled.
Yes. And if I can jump in, I think
Please.
one of the things that like this story is a better story than the first Avatar. Like, for me, hands down,
Okay.
a better story. The first Avatar, go back to our episode last week. We talk about how you've seen this story before. If you were born like from 1986 and on, you've seen this story before.
Oh yeah.
The story that was presented in Avatar: The Way of Water, it was like it actually had like emotional depth, like bare minimum emotional depth. I'm not gonna say it was like amazing, but it was like,
Right.
oh, like people have feelings and they're conflicted. And I think that was it made it stand out a little
Right.
bit, and I feel like it told its story better. I honestly feel like, I know James Cameron didn't listen to our podcast. If you did, tweet us
Did
or
not.
whatever. But it honestly feels like he took
don't.
that criticism that we talked about like straight to heart, because we talked about how the story didn't really have any impact,
Yeah.
and we talked about how nothing Jake Sully did seem to like have any impact. And
Yeah.
this movie was like, okay, well, what if it did? And it almost, I'm not going to say it did. It almost turned the hero's journey upside down. It didn't, but it poked at it.
It did.
That,
It tried.
You know,
It tried. It tried really hard. I will say, we'll save it for another thing. Marcus, I'm gonna save my point.
I kind of want to. Here's my thing about the story. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with Doug's point or anybody's point. I learned my lesson from the Ray Fisher shit. No, I'm just kidding. Here's what I want to say.
Gross.
I feel like I feel like character development. You do, yeah, whatever. I feel like there were too many stories happening at once that I did, and this is without the idea that, let's assume I don't know. I'm a regular fan that's not keeping up. I just heard that Avatar 2 is coming out after 15 years, right? I don't know that Avatar 3 is coming out next year, like we back to back in it. Let's assume I don't know that. It introduced so many different things that I felt like I was like, damn, this is kind of overwhelming. Or okay, I know, and y'all know how I am. If you're gonna introduce some shit, I need to get some type of like conclusion or some type of one-liner or some type of answer. For example, Water Jesus, right?
Yep.
She goes in the water, connects her USB cord to the coral reef a tree, and she has a seizure in the water.
I want to clarify for people listening. We're talking about the character that is Sigourney Weaver's character's daughter. The official name here is Kiri. She's the daughter of Jake Sully, born from Sigourney Weaver's previous character. She also plays this character. It's okay if you're confused. Anyway, yes, that's who Marcus is.
And her USB cord is the thing that avatars use.
Sorry,
it's the ponytail thing.
Marcus isn't wrong. It is her own personal USB.
But because she plugged it in and got information. I don't know what the fuck else I'm supposed to call it. But they called it water because she was born from like immaculate conception. Because they don't know who her father is.
Nobody knows who the father is. Yeah,
that was a point that I'm assuming will be made in Avatar 3 because she asked this question and meets Sigourney Weaver, the adult version of it, and say, "Who is my father?" And then like she gets pulled out of the vision and has a seizure, right? So then they say this line of like, I think his name is Norman, says this line of like, if she connects again and has a seizure underwater again, she may not survive or something like that. That then is the final point, and then we just see her do magical shit for the rest of the movie, where I'm kind of like, okay, I understand that she's special. I understand that she is I was about to say connected to Yahweh. That is something completely different.
No, you're close. It's Awe.
Is it Awe?
It's the tree of Awe. I'm gonna double check, but I'm pretty sure it's the.
She's connected to the spiritual thing that connects them all, right? And all the Avatar people. And she can like
tree of. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead, Brian. No, I want to get it right.
No, the tree of souls, which they call I'm pronouncing it Awe. Maybe it's intended to rhyme with Yahweh. Take that for what you want.
Yeah, let's go with Awe. So she connects to the Tree of Souls. Awe has a seizure, and then we don't hear why. Like she can stay underwater longer than everybody. She doesn't need to do the training. She's just sitting underwater. She brings in at the end of the movie a trail of light, fish, Yahweh type of resemblance to guide them out of the ship as it's failing, and people are kind of like, maybe will they survive or will they? Won't they?
Right.
There was just a lot of different stories and points introduced in this movie that was a lot for me.
Marcus, I wrote a list because I got out of this movie and I was like, this movie introduced like 6 concepts in a 3.5 hour movie and it still felt cramped. So let me just do a quick rundown here.
Do it, Brian.
It introduced clones, not only clones, but memory transference. That's going to be important moving forward, I have a feeling. Whale juice, which is what I'm going to call it. Whale juice that stops you from aging. Feel like that might be important.
It stops you from aging?
Yeah, that's why it's so valuable. He said it's worth $28 million. He goes, we don't even give a shit about unobtainium anymore because this is so much more valuable because it'll basically stop the aging process.
It stops aging.
I missed
That's why they were hunting them.
And I have a quick recap, by the way, after I get done with all these concepts. So that's number 2. I got 6. 3. The Kiri daughter magic. You have somebody that's essentially like straight up using magic. We're gonna move on.
Said anything? Yeah.
Water Jesus.
Whale relationships.
Brian won't say water Jesus.
I'm gonna make him.
The water Jesus. That's the water magic. Then the 4th one is whale relationships. So by the way, not only is this world the way it is, you also can have a relationship with a whale.
Yeah, that was very interesting to me.
Moving on, Earth's dying. By the way, BT Dubs. Earth is dying.
We get that news from Nurse Jackie.
Like heads up. By the way, they underplay this, but like the home planet's dying, folks. And then lastly, the Awe vision. So when Water Jesus Kiri goes and connects to the tree, she sees her mom in the spirit tree. So you can talk with spirits that have died and join the tree. I think anyway, that's the 6. That's the 6 concepts. Praise be to Water Jesus. That is our Chiron right now. If you're watching the live stream, praise be to Water Jesus, who is Kiri, played by Sigourney Weaver. Anyway, I just want to point out, Earth is dying, and you can save your memory and then upload it to a clone essentially,
Right.
and then not age. Surely this won't have any negative effects for anybody. Sci-fi.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
can I also say I was gonna make a very dark joke, and I'm just gonna say
Nah,
it.
you
Can I
should.
say it? Okay, y'all don't tense up too much. Okay,
I'm
you
not gonna.
said when people die, they go to the tree, and I had thought in my head, man, what a strange fruit.
Ayo.
Oh.
That's was my third. That dark humor just went.
Oh, yeah.
I
Right
mean,
there.
I should put
but
this. I should put this Rumpleman.
No,
down.
it's the whole movie's very naturalist,
Right.
though. Like, how can you
Yeah.
not make that connection? Like, I
Yeah.
think that's totally legit.
First thing I went to was like, ooh, it didn't go like that for slavery, but yeah.
No.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
expect
Say-
that.
okay,
I
for
went.
those
That's where I
that
went.
don't
Strange
know,
fruit, strange fruit hanging.
is
Yep.
a term. There's a song that's strange fruit hanging.
Back
you
in
know,
the
when they used to lynch people, they hung them from the
50s.
trees. and it was
Okay,
called
I
strange
totally
fruit.
took that a different way.
No,
I
it's
did not
okay.
know that, and
No,
I
No,
am
it- no, no,
learning
no.
today.
No. It was meant to be a, that, yeah.
I took it very literally.
It's okay.
That's how I took that.
It's
I'm
okay,
learning.
Brian.
I'm growing.
It's
as
okay,
a
Brian.
person.
I think another piece of this that I think is interesting is that not only, Brian, like, are those 6 plot lines like in there, those are just like the major ones, and
Yeah.
those are just the major like what's happening in the universe type
Yes.
things. That
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
nearly go into the fact that Spider is the son of
Yep.
Quaritch, and
The-
whether
the-
he chooses to claim him or not.
Yeah.
Because this is the other thing that's weird.
And
is
the love interest
you
as
can
well.
yeah, you can take their memories, but you're not responsible because they keep making these
Yeah.
distinctions in the third act of the movie. They made this distinction all the time. They said he's not yours.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? So
Very
you inherit
specific about
someone's
that.
memories,
Mhm.
but they're not, the attachments to the physical things are not there. So they're drawing that line in the sand,
Clearly.
is setting up I'm going to have a hard time drawing this line in the sand.
Mhm.
Because at the end,
Natiri.
Neytiri threatens Quaritch by saying, "I'll kill your son. Like, I don't give a shit." Like,
yeah,
I'll
can we
straight-
Let's get
straight up-
into it. I
I'll
had a
straight up
problem.
Knife this fucking kid.
Yeah.
Give me my kids
Cut
back.
his chest.
I never thought that he should be around here anyway. I thought he needed to be with his own kind. So I got no problem offing this kid. And he's like, he ain't mine. Go ahead. I don't give a shit. Go ahead. Knife him. And then the weird, like, white saviorism of like, yeah, the natives were going to kill everybody, but this little white kid is going to be the one that makes the morally pristine
Oh
choice.
my gosh.
Lots of white saviorism in this
So-
I
movie.
didn't even see that.
Oh,
Holy
really?
fuck it, I just made that connection.
That's
So,
really interesting.
so
Yeah,
then-
'cause- yeah.
but then at the end, he goes, nah, fuck you, I'm out. And he dives into the water and goes back with the family of the woman who just tried to kill him.
Who lost a son for a son, which is a very weird setup.
You can just trade them in and out, like,
Yep.
Okay.
trading cards.
I know we're jumping straight to the end. This is why we're
Oh,
doing a
yeah.
spoiler
I don't
podcast,
give a
by the
shit.
way.
Mhm.
You don't want us to look, the first hour of this movie, I hope you like water. That's it. That's the
lit-
discussion.
Can't wait, Brian. Remember your point. Hold your next point that you want to
I
say.
will. Go ahead.
I want to say, because I wanted to go back to what Doug's point was. You didn't need all of this. An hour, 45 minutes to an hour of this is literally them re-exploring like they did in the first movie, but with water. It just throws me off that we spent a lot. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of time spent just in the water of us just supposed to be just mesmerizing over how well this movie is.
It's literally establishing the rules for the Samoan inspired
That's true.
Na'vi tribe.
That's true.
Well, and so the first movie, which again we talked about in our last episode, James Cameron was like, I didn't put in all this Earth stuff because I felt like the movie started twice, and I feel like he absolutely like went the other way with this movie. This movie starts twice. I am very confident. I am very sure of this statement.
It absolutely.
Avatar: Way of the Water starts twice.
It absolutely.
You get the
starts twice.
first part of this starting where it's like Jake Sully being like, everything's great. I got 4 kids. We go hunting on the weekends. It's great. It then starts again when you see the fleet of ships. By the way, beautiful sequence.
I thought it was
Absolutely.
great. I thought that was dope. I thought that was
Fantastic
great.
sequence. You see the fleet of ships landing, and by the way, the visual language James Cameron uses, very well done, because we saw one ship in the first Avatar, and we knew how much like trouble that brought. This
Yes.
opens up to like a dozen
Yep.
of those ships, and you're like, I know one ship messed them up. There's a
Mhm.
dozen of those.
Mhm.
And we're in for
Yeah.
bad news.
They double down on that.
And remember, like they have a whole city. They are starting to explore
Oh.
by building trains
Yep.
all the way to different parts of the jungle. They are colonizing, an
Mhm.
intentional word
Talk
choice.
that talk.
They are
I mean-
colonizing this planet.
Talk that talk.
The first action sequence of this movie is a literal train robbery.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, fuck.
Which is
you're right.
which is also not a great visual given the way in which representation in film go
like
backwards
Oh,
in
not
time.
the Cowboys and Indians.
yes,
That's
this is a
terrible-
straight up
That's what it
like,
is.
Oh,
Yes,
I missed
that's
that.
exactly
Oh,
what it is.
wow.
And
That is
I'm not
bad.
saying it like whatever. The
It's
present,
not on-
the
it-
visuals of it are fine. The visuals of it are
yeah.
fine. But I'm like, really, we're just starting off with like the natives attacking a train. Really,
Gosh.
that's how we're doing this. Anyway, I have more to say about that at the end of other stuff you can watch with native representation that is better. But
God.
for the purposes of this review, I noticed that immediately, and I never thought I would say this, but Book of Boba Fett maybe handled the train robbery better. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
ouch.
You be the judge.
I need to finish that.
I think it did.
But Brian, I wanted to go back to your
Let's go
point
back.
that you're about
In
to
the
make
movie
next.
point.
Yes.
Anyway, the first hour of this movie is like hope you like water. Moving on. So yeah, third part of the third act, you got Natiri like on a burning ship, and she's like, I'm gonna kill your kid.
Yep.
And like, by the way, Spider has done nothing he has done nothing wrong.
No,
And I
no.
feel like I feel like this is an attempt by James Cameron to be like, hey, like this stuff isn't clear cut, which I'm going to say I appreciate. I don't feel
Yeah.
like all of our media needs to be like, this is good, this is bad.
No, you don't need to
Da-da-da-da-da.
spell it out for everybody.
Like stuff can be messy. That's real life. Like I get that
100%.
and I appreciate it. What it just felt like Natiri had no motivation to do that. This is a kid. I just have a very hard time believing a mother of 4 is just so willing to take another kid hostage and ready to kill him. I don't know. I don't know. I just
I want to push back a little
didn't
bit.
fit. Go for
I'm
it.
not a father. No, let me keep that as far as I know. I'm not a father. Right? No, I'm just kidding. I know I'm not a father. What are you willing to do if it's your child in the situation,
True.
even if it includes some other person that you know you don't really like rock with, agree with, whatever the case may be? He's still alien. That's what she said. It was still
Yeah.
alien to her.
Good point.
I have another disagreement because I'm like, well, you loved
Do it.
Jake when he was, although you fell in love with him while he was an Avatar, you did see him
Mhm.
as a
Yeah.
human, right?
Yeah.
But I guess my question for y'all is, if put in now, I know y'all personally, but if you're in like a similar scenario, you know, is that a thing that crosses your mind? Like, I'll do anything for my children. Like at this point,
Oh,
yes, I may consider
of
you
course you
family,
would.
but you know, I don't know. I'm just asking.
I guess the thing to me was like, it's clearly a clone, and it's not actually his kid. What are you going to accomplish at this point? I know, and maybe it was the telegraphing of the grief. Maybe that's what I'm missing. Because at this point, Natiri has lost her oldest, right? The oldest son, I
Yes.
think it
Oh, yeah.
was. She's lost the oldest son. In that context, now that I'm talking about it, I can definitely understand a grieving parent being like, "Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll put a knife to this kid's neck to make sure no
Yeah,
more
fuck
of
it,
my
why
kids
not?
die."
I mean, all bets
I-
are off, right?
Right.
I mean,
I
yeah.
mean, like, I understand grief plays a part in that and you don't think straight, but like Spider, the way he was developed, you're just kind of like, oh man, not Spider. Like that was the way the movie made me feel.
Well, and I think, and
White
again,
savior.
I think the other piece of it for me is really this concept of like, I'll do anything for my kids, but at the same time, if this is just an assurance to all of the other kids that are going to be friends with my children,
Right.
you need to understand, like, I'll go to bat for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if it comes down to if someone is hurting you and my son or daughter loves spending time with you, that person better watch out because I'm going to come
Absolutely.
after him. Like,
Absolutely.
and that's where I'm like, although yes, you see him as other, still there's still you still have to see the the appreciation of your own. I mean, take Kiri for example. She straight up loves Spider, like straight
Yes.
up,
Yeah.
like that is
Yes.
Yeah.
I could see Avatar 3 having some weird
Oh, there's a
Spider
love
becomes a
connection there.
clone.
Oh,
and
they're
they get
definitely
married,
getting
and that's-
together.
Yeah, 100%. And so, like, I could see that going that way. Yeah, I think Avatar 3 is going to be Romeo and Juliet, but spiders. It's going to be
Ooh.
Romeo, but Juliet.
You know
but-
what? I'd watch that though.
I
That's
would watch
interesting.
that too. Here's my issue. My issue is not the fact that that's her choice. It's
Okay.
that you laid the groundwork for that choice within the first 30 minutes of the movie, and 3 hours has gone by. Like, and now you expect me to call it back of that's her motivation.
Also, Neytiri is barely in the second act of this movie.
She has very little speaking parts
Like-
in this movie.
As soon as they show up to the water, folks, she's like gone.
She's like,
And I did not
they were
like
like,
that.
get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't
Like
want
Zoe
I don't wanna
Saldana's
talk
here,
to
like,
you.
hey, hi, I'm really good at like action movies, and I'm just all right.
have
I'll stand to the side. It's fine.
She didn't have a lot of speaking parts,
Mm-mm.
She did
and
not.
I have a problem with that.
Ditto.
She did not do little. She did little to no. I think that the leader of the sea avatars had
Yeah.
more speaking parts than Zoe
Ooh.
Saldana, and I don't know why that is or why they decided to go that route to make her. To me, it made her seem more animal and like she didn't know what was going on, and that's a problem for me.
That is the oh my gosh, you have verbalized the exact reason why I don't connect with that finale. Because it's like yes, praise be to Water Jesus. We love you, Kiri. But no, I think that's part of the reason why I have a hard time connecting with her, just being like, all right, I'm gonna kill Spider. It's like, I haven't seen you.
Where have you been?
I haven't seen you for an hour. And now you're just ready to off this kid because
Quickly.
like
Right.
really? Like you're the best archer probably within the Na'vi, and you're telling me the only way out is to knife this kid. It's just maybe it could have been set up better. I'm not saying like I'm not pushing back against the narrative like a parent will do anything for their kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they will.
Mhm.
Absolutely 100%, and that is shown in this movie. It just felt, I don't know. It just didn't connect with me. Maybe it connects with other people. Maybe that's the reason why it was missing for me, Marcus, because you just lose Neytiri for the entire
Yeah.
second act.
Mhm.
By the way, the second act does not end until like 2 hours, between 2 and 2 hour 15 mark in
Mhm.
this movie. That is how long this movie is.
Yep. Yeah. I think the other I think the other piece of this is like you have that concept in the finale of like you'll do anything for your kid, which again,
Right.
not going to
Of
dispute,
course.
completely agree with.
Mhm.
But then you also have this like juxtaposition with Jake, because the other part of it is that Jake for a majority of this
Is annoying.
is
Sorry.
fucking like is basically straight up like yelling at his kids.
Yeah.
Like he's basically
Thank
like
you.
he's basically like, hey, knock
He's
it off.
he's a general. He's
Right.
not
I
a
mean,
father.
He's not a
Like,
dad about it.
Maybe that's the point, but
do you
Yeah.
not realize James Cameron used the same plot device 3 times?
Oh,
like
yeah.
literally Jake yelling at his kids 3 separate times in this movie.
Yeah.
And that
Right.
was how we moved the plot forward. And I was like, I'm gonna forgive it because like I get it. Like I'm a dad and I get it because like yeah,
Oh.
like sometimes it just feels like
Sometimes you just
why,
snap.
why don't you get this? Like I don't understand. But
Yeah.
it felt
said it
very
3 times.
overused. But I forgive it.
Right.
Also, this movie restarted 3 times, Brian.
yes,
because-
What's
it
your third time?
It's when they do the train robbing the 1 year
Yeah.
later sequence, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The first one is the movie start.
Yep.
Yes.
The second one is when they do the 1 year later. The
Got it.
third time for me is when they move to the new sea avatar place.
100%.
Yes.
So this movie
Okay.
technically restarts 3 times because you have to re-explain their learning process.
That's
which we've
fair.
already done this in the first time, and you have to learn why it's important to be the way of the water or do things the way of the water.
That's a really good point.
So
actually.
to me,
ruined a
this
lot.
has 3 restart parts.
I ruined a lot of movie going experiences when the first time they said the way of the water is, and I clapped in the theater. And I went, "That's the fucking name of the movie."
They said
Like,
they said the thing. They said the thing.
No, that
Um,
deserves a clap. I'm so
yeah,
happy
yeah.
they did. They said the
Um,
title in the middle of the movie.
yeah,
No, that's good.
yeah. This I struggled with Jake for a lot of this, and I particularly I get it. As a dad, you're in stressful situations where you really just want to make sure it goes well because there's for what reason or another, and maybe you're hard or your expectations are too high. But the thing that like I really struggled with Jake was how hard he was on his middle child
Yeah.
after his eldest died. I was like,
Oh
hold
my
on.
gosh.
You literally said to someone who just lost the same person in your family, you shouldn't have been there.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck? Like, like how totally deaf
it-
can you be about it?
It drives it like it drives at my main issue with
100%.
stories that use this as a device because it's like no, like
hate
the
it.
bad guys are the reason this happened.
Yep.
Like the bad guys
Right.
are like Quaritch, right?
Yep.
Stephen Lang plays
Mhm.
Quaritch. Quaritch literally shot your kid. Like he's the one that had a gun. Your kids were running away. You shouldn't be blaming another kid. You should be
Right.
blaming the guy that shot your kid. You know, like
If
Right.
anything,
that's
you
always my
commend that
issue.
child for being there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
I mean,
And
Yeah.
I'm not a father. I do want to go to another part. I want to say this. I'm not a father once again. So I there is a different type of mindset that comes with it. Just like being black just requires a different type of mindset until
truth.
either you become black or you surround yourself
Can't-
with more
can't-
blackness, I
can't-
guess.
Can't become black.
You learn. Right. So anyway, I feel like some of the decisions he was making and the way he went about it, I
Yeah.
just completely disagreed with. So for me, that was the one part that was just very annoying to me, almost to the point where I thought they were going to kill Jake so that he had this final finale.
I
where he's like,
fully
"Don't be
expected
like
Jake to
me."
get killed.
Yes.
I just thought that like I was telling Doug the entire time, somebody's gonna die. I was telling him, I said it was either the oldest son
really.
or it was going to be Jake, because I thought that they were painting Jake in this light. Now, considering we know James Cameron loves a white savior, that's
true.
probably not going to happen. But if James kept painting him in this light of like, okay, if Jake Sully did die, his last final speech would probably be the Sully family sticks together. Don't be like me. I'm sorry I wasn't more of a father. And that would have been like kind of where the middle son would have taken up the mantle if the older brother would have still died. So I was expecting two people to die in this. My other point is this movie, with the length that it is, kind of shifting to a different point. This was the most I've ever seen people get up in a theater. I counted 7
really?
people. I counted 7 people in our theater, and our theater was full.
It was
Oh, that's
jam-packed.
what you mean. Got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yes. They didn't walk out.
Got
So I saw 7 people get up and have to use the bathroom. The people next to us like got up. The guy in the chair was getting so antsy that he was like, "I thought this shit was over." He's every time I think it's over, there's more movie left. And like I was like, every time somebody got up, I told Doug, that person's gonna have to rewatch the movie. That person's gonna have to rewatch the movie. that person's gonna have to rewatch the movie. So I mean, thought that was interesting.
I was at an AMC and they revamped their food menu, and legit, I kid you not. So when the second act, right before the second act starts, before the big ship comes to the water, the location, the water people location, someone got up and got chicken tender barbecue, like tendies, and I was like, that smells really good, and I really want to get that, but there's this giant sequence happening in front of me, so the entire time I will forever remember it as like smelling like barbecue, which take what you will from that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, people felt comfortable being like, well, there's enough of the movie left, I'm gonna go grab chicken tenders with barbecue sauce. Like, which is it's a long movie.
I want to talk a little bit about, I think this review's not over, and I think we have things to consider for this movie moving forward. I do have a question though. And my question really stems from like, is it worth it? Like, Jay.
Okay.
That's a great question.
All right, let's do it.
Like,
That's a great question.
This is a 3-hour movie. It cost $460 million to make. It needs to make $2 billion to be seen as a success. Like, is this really set up to be? I mean, is the juice worth the squeeze on this? Like, I appreciate it. Like, don't get me wrong, it's visually stunning and it's a good ride. Like, it's enjoyable. Like, the action sequences are good. Like, they're a lot of fun. The
Doug,
story, for good or bad, is kind of all over the place. But is it worth it?
Okay, look, I need to say out loud, I like would have whooped and hollered at the moment when in the second act when like the big ship is fighting the dragons and then there's people on the dragons with like machine guns.
Uh-huh.
Like that is just for listeners, that's part of my id. Like, yeah, that's my id. Like people fighting each other.
The dragons are starfighters, and
like, and they're fighting each other with machine guns. Like, that's rad as hell.
It's
that's
pretty
cool.
rad.
I just need to say that out loud. Is it worth it?
Sorry, I know that's like an existential question. Of
no,
like,
but I think
it
it's
worth it?
important because I think we need to talk about like how this to me is kind of being set up as like the next big franchise. Like it's being set up as like, hey, you need to be excited about this every 2 years. And I said this on social media, and I'll say it again here for the recording. Avatar: Way of the Water, it is a good movie. I'm not gonna tell you it's bad. It's a good movie.
Agreed.
Do I think it's 2 billion in revenue good? No. Like no. I think the performances are good, and I feel like the concepts are fine. It's just I don't see this being a $2 billion good movie. I don't know where you all are at.
Is the juice worth the squeeze? Okay, here's my honest opinion. They waited too long to give me 2. And I feel like if you would have done 2 at least a little bit close, not 15 years, if you would have done 2 sooner, you may have been able to get me for Avatar 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's kind of like the same with Matrix and Matrix Resurrections.
Yeah.
It was too long between the last Matrix movie and this one for you to force what seemed to be you trying to force another trilogy of Matrix movies, right? Because but it didn't do well enough for you to do that. That's my personal opinion. This doesn't seem worth the squeeze because the finale didn't make me get excited about. I know Jake Sully eyes opening up after the prayer saying, I'm going to fight for my family. Like, it's cool, but is it worth me going to see Avatar 3? I don't think so. If anything, I just want answers from Avatar 2. That's the only reason
to go back to that. But Doug, you should say your piece.
Here, I think I'm probably more closer to Brian because Brian, the way you said it of like, is it $2 billion good? No, like it's fine. Like it's an enjoyable. It's like I said, it's a good movie. I have some troubling point. There are some troubling points for me, like story wise, that I feel like are a little recycled, which is fine.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
But largely speaking, it's a fun movie. I do also though resonate with this. Like, I'm more like, oh fuck, like where could you go with this? Like I kind of get this feeling of like the world. There are so many possibilities storyline on the other side of this that I'm sort of like, oh god, like what is this going to be like? And I kind of don't know. I mean, I want to know, but I don't need to know. You feel me? Like it's one of those situations where like it's one of those feelings where someone says like, oh, don't go to this website, there's something gross. And I look at my phone and I'm like, I don't need to see it. I kind of want to see what the gross thing is that they're talking about.
Yeah.
But I don't have to. Like it just doesn't it hasn't piqued my fascination. Like it's piqued, like I care. Like I kind of want to know, but I don't have to know.
If they didn't make another movie, I wouldn't be mad.
Right.
Yeah. I'm kind of on that point.
Well, me, the sci-fi geek, like I'll do anything sci-fi. You tell me it's a high concept, low budget thing, I'm in, whatever. Yeah. But like, for me, what puts me over the edge is the fact that like, it sets up a lot of stuff that can be paid off. And I'm okay with that. Like you're talking about magic water Jesus. That's clearly something going on. And I want to see a resolution to that. Praise our Chiron is back up. Praise be to water Jesus. I'm happy to go sit through a third movie that's 3.5 hours long to figure that out. Brian Rausch, not Films in Black and White. Me, Brian Rausch. Yeah. And I feel like oh my gosh, I might regret saying this, but like I'm gonna say it.
Say it.
If you have read the Dune book series,
I have a feeling you're going here.
It feels like here's what it feels like. It feels like James Cameron read the Dune book series and was like, "Hey, I want to do this, but like, what if it was like forest people on another planet?
No.
Yes, I think that is what James Cameron is doing. And like, here's the thing. I think Dune, the book series, is pretty good. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, because that's what I'm gonna say. That's what it feels like. I'm not saying James Cameron is doing the Dune of movies. Absolutely not. What I am saying, though, is that is what I think he's trying to do, and I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for Avatar 3 because I'm curious where those go, but that's where I'm at.
What does 4, 5, and 6 cover?
Oh my gosh. I could.
Because 3 would answer my questions from 2.
Oh my gosh.
What else?
Well, here's
Marcus.
the thing. 3 is 95% shot, and the first act of 4 is shot.
Is this all just the general chasing them for 5 movies?
No, Marcus.
Is there a team up? There's a new
not
Avatar
the
monster?
general. It's the clone of the general. And if it's not the clone of the general, it's the clone of the clone of the general. And it's trying to communicate this eternal philosophy that there's always a force chasing you. Anyway, that's what I think James Cameron's trying to do. No, that's what I think he's trying to do.
No.
That no matter what, there's always going to be this opposite and opposing force. That is what I feel like he's trying to do.
So this is like as long as there's an unstoppable force, there'll always be an immovable object.
I would not be surprised.
Zod and Superman. You're going to have to kill me.
All I'm saying is that if we get to a point where we're reviewing Avatar 5,
I'll be done with this podcast.
I
think have mercy on our souls.
I think Rumplemintz will have to sponsor this podcast.
I mean, like, if we're doing an Avatar 5 review and like my kids are in high school and it's like, anyway, I was right. I feel like that might be one of the concepts that they will embark on.
Even water Jesus can't save us from Avatar 4, 5, and 6.
No.
I mean, if we're talking about Avatar 5, I will absolutely reference this episode of like, anyway, unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
No.
I'm not joking. I feel like that's what James Cameron is setting up.
Here's what I can tell you I don't want to happen. Tell you I don't know what 3, 4, and 5 and 6 or however many there are scheduled to be. I don't know what they're going to be. I can tell you what I don't want them to be.
Okay.
I do not want to do this bullshit where Jake hops around Pandora and we get 6 different tribes and 6
like the desert Avatar. You don't want to set
that's exactly what's going to happen, Doug.
Badly don't want
that's
that.
Exactly what I honestly.
No, that's exactly what's going to happen.
That's definitely happening.
Yes, I agree with Marcus.
He said just like that. We're Sea Avatar. Yep. And in the first one, they talked about how they brought together all of these different avatars to come together and to fight against this odd. And because there's so many ships that came down from Earth, you're going to have to unite the land, sea, and air and fire avatar together to fight this shit. And then it's going to be like Avatar. Yeah, that's what brought me and Brian were on the same page with that joke.
No, Doug, that is absolutely the course of these movies. The third movie is going to be all about the horses tribe, whatever, the horse people.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one's going to be like, we're the lava people, and you have to learn the lava ways. And then
you have to learn the way,
one's
the fuel of the fire, Avatar, fuel of the fire.
Yeah, it's totally going to go by element. Doug.
Oh yeah. The lightning Avatar, just as a fifth element.
You can't hear it, but Hello Darkness, my old friend's playing in my head.
Doug, it's going to be 2025, and your kids are going to get ready to go to high school, and we're going to be here like, anyway, we're ready for Avatar 6.
Right. The Ice Avatar Chief was way off base.
There you fuck. Honestly, because it's really going to be about what is it? Pandora is an entire world to discover. If you think it's just forest and sea, you're absolutely wrong.
That's
oh my gosh.
That's the tagline for the travel agency that takes you to Avatar. It's a whole world for you to discover.
Here's the thing. The third movie is going to have a different spaceship, and I'm going to come to this review on this podcast and be like, anyway, there's going to be an Avatar 4 because there's a new battleship.
Right.
So that's going to change
We get it in a year.
Because Unobtainium came from the Earth. But the eternal fountain of youth came from the sea. So something has to come from fire, and something has to come from. There's something valuable in each of the elements in this brilliant universe.
That's it. We unlocked it. That's the cheat code.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Don't
But it-
want it.
No, it is. Like the
Don't
fire's
want
gonna be like, anyway, this always ignites your passion. Whatever you have
Oh.
passion for, the fire lava of Pandora will ignite your passion.
Whoa.
So not only do you have
That just blew my
unobtainium,
mind.
you got the whale juice, which keeps you alive
And it's gonna
forever,
be a
and you got
fucking fuel
passion in your
source.
life
It's
forever.
gonna be a fuel source that burns
Oh
more
God!
efficiently.
It's an oil
It's-
that burns in the
oh,
fire.
yeah.
The oil
No,
that
no,
fuels all of our vehicles on planet.
It's gonna be like
Yes.
a gas, or
Yeah.
because we've
Yeah,
done like
you're
a
right.
liquid with the whale juice, and then
Mhm.
we've done the rock with the land stuff.
Oh my
So
gosh,
it's
you're
gotta be a
right.
gas.
I hate how right you are. I hate it.
I'm
But you're
so
right.
angry.
Like it's gonna be this
Some
gaseous
type of
lava
vapor.
stuff. They're gonna be
Oh,
like,
man.
this stuff is really good.
Then I guess the last thing I want to ask is
I hate and love us so much
I hate
because here's the thing: we be right. And
I mean,
y'all-
we've
y'all
been
just
right.
we're
check-
right more than we're wrong.
Listen to me. Check that, bitch.
Yeah,
Because
check
we
it.
be
Yeah,
right.
check this shit out. That's fuck. We're right more than we're wrong, and that's upsetting. The last thing I'm gonna say is, can we outlive James Cameron's hubris?
Yes.
Like he's
Black
letting his-
ages like fine wine.
this white does not.
No, it does not. Yeah.
White gets old and crusty like glue you left on a desk.
The
like
black
inaccurate.
in
Oh,
films
what the
and black and
fuck?
white shall live forever.
It will. The black will outlast the white 100%. Here's what I mean.
Old segregation whites are pissed at that statement. 'cause
They're crying right now and they don't know
they
why.
are sad about it.
I don't think I can take James Cameron holding a metaphorical gun to my head again. I also don't think that James Cameron should be allowed to speak publicly again, because
Honestly,
this man had the balls
Talk about
after
it.
this movie came out to go into a public space and say, if the
Talk about it.
Lakota people would have just fought a little bit harder, knowing that everybody was so depressed and killing themselves, maybe we would have seen a different result. And part of me is like, the movie wasn't that good, James. Like,
Y'all,
it's not.
this was a
by the
real
way, that is
statement.
not okay to say. I don't
That's
know
not
if
okay.
that needs
I'm
to be
not
said.
making it
Not at
up.
all.
Like, I paraphrased
not okay.
a smidge,
Not
but
at all.
Brian's right.
That's
It's not okay.
that's a
No,
accurate.
it's
That's a real thing that Doug is referencing.
He said
Yes.
that out loud, and there's a
he
part
did.
of me like,
He
go ahead, Brian.
No, he said that out loud in a Guardian article in the 2010s. And it's shitty. It's a shitty thing to say about people.
Terrible. fucking thing to
And
say.
us as a group, we did not know he said that. We were
No.
alerted to it by the internet. It showed up in my tweets.
Internet.
So one of the things, I'm just going to take a quick moment here.
Please.
do it.
if
Brian.
you've
Put him on
stuck
the
with
main
us-
sta- I got it. I guess I'm supposed to be producing
Look,
this shit.
if
Hold
you've
on, Brian.
stuck
Don't say
with
nothing
us in this far, we have native movies that are going to be probably better than Avatar: Way of the Water that you can give your time and money to. The first is Night Raiders. It's available on Hulu. It's essentially a movie about a mother. She joins an underground band of vigilantes and tries to rescue her daughter from a state-run institution. It was released in March 2021. You're going to know the next one. It's Prey. Go watch it on Hulu. We reviewed it on this podcast. If you
It's
haven't
outstanding.
watched it, go watch it. It's on Hulu. It's really good. A skilled Comanche warrior protects her tribe when an alien predator threatens them. That's the only summary I'm going to give you, because you should just go watch the movie. The last one I'm going to say is Rhymes for Young Ghouls. It's available on Tubi. Essentially, it explores Canada's residential school system through 3 generations of Native women. It's a lot, and I really encourage you to go check it out. Anyway, those are 3 movies by Native people that are good, and hopefully we can promote them and elevate them to make sure that you check them out, so that we're not encouraging James Cameron's comments, which are anti-Native, is what I would say.
Yeah, I could not put it any better. Like, I really could not phrase that any better whatsoever. I think, Brian, I hope everybody checks those out.
I got that from Dr. Black Deer on Twitter. So go follow them
there's a follow for you.
on Twitter for more of that. But anyway, go check out those 3 films because we did not know that until after we watched this movie, which changed our opinion on a lot for the 3 of us. I think is a fair way to say that.
I think what it does is it also says like some of the things that we've seen. I'm going to make a statement that might make me an ass later, but some of the things like some of the white saviorism, some of the native tropes,
Yes, it
may
is.
be accidental, but maybe 15% of them are not.
Well, when you bring in the native tropes, right?
Yes.
And then you also bring in the Samoa people's tradition, which is clear as day. And
that's
I have questions.
100%.
I have questions about your casting. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
what does representation look like within your casting? I did not do an ethnicity check. I did not do a like cultural check or background on all of the characters, but I don't think that everybody who's portraying an avatar is from that background. And is that respect? I don't know if that's like a good thing for you to be doing like that.
Yeah.
I personally disagree with it.
I do too.
Here's the thing. I feel like Avatar to me clearly lifts from themes of native and indigenous populations to North America, and to not even consult them or talk to them about, hey, I want to do this and this is the story I want to tell. What's a respectful way to do it? To not even do that or like even reference them in your movie, it makes me feel not good about it. It makes me feel bad about it. I don't like it.
100%.
You didn't even take the time to ask or acknowledge. You just seem like you just did. Now, if you did, right, and you have to say this kind of stuff, because even in Black Panther, as a small example, Ryan Coogler referenced and went to and did studies, and Chadwick Boseman from like the stuff that was released, at least what Disney put out, of the different backgrounds that they were trying to portray in the Wakandan culture that came from actual like cultures and communities.
Right.
For you to not do this and for you to do things like a Haka reference in the middle of this just seems doesn't seem to me it does not feel right, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's not a good look. It's
I wouldn't feel comfortable at all doing this as a white guy and then being like, anyway, this is my story. Nope, I didn't get any inspiration from anywhere. No, if I were in charge, I'd be like, these were the people that inspired me. Here's how you can support them. Here's why it's wrong. They were kicked out of their land. I hope this movie brings attention to it.
Would have been great promo, because we just seen a promo from Mission Impossible today, right? Of him, of Tom Cruise learning this sick ass trick, which, God, man, Tom Cruise, if I'm supposed to hate him, I don't think I do. That's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast.
But I feel like they could have did something. Avatar could have did things leading up to this about the studies that they did with behind the cultures, and here are the references that we're making, and here's who we consulted. I mean, easiest part for you to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a special feature on a DVD or on a streaming. Like, it's a documentary you could use as promo before the movie comes out. Like, it does itself, instead of it making it seem like you're trying to say like, well, you know, the Lakota people, if they had fought harder, let me make a movie about what would happen if they actually
in an original
harder.
story.
Which is like super offensive, by the way, awful. In case anyone needs that spelled out for them. That is super offensive. Don't say that.
Please don't say that. Gentlemen, anything else that you all have to say about Avatar 2: The Way of Water?
It's good. It's beautiful. Like Doug said, I think that, when Doug said in the beginning, obviously we have to do this as a podcast where we're looking at it, and I stand by the shit that we just talked about 1000%. But I think as a movie, it is good. It looks good. I see why they amped up the shit to 10 for like the water to look like water and all of this other shit. That's downplaying it severely. But, I don't know if it's $2 billion worth good. I don't know if it has me. If I'm not doing this podcast, would I watch Avatar 4, 5, and 6? You have me for 3 because I need some answers from 2. But if you're asking me to watch 4, 5, and 6, I don't know if I can hang in there that long because.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yep, I would agree.
I feel like I feel like for me, I'm a sci-fi junkie. For longtime listeners, you know this. I'm in. I'm in for all these concepts that are weird. I just feel like I want to see how this technology is used for other stories. I understand how it's being used for this story, and I get it, but I want to see how it's used for other stories, because I feel like the story that's being told is just for like, look at what we can do, not necessarily like the story of it. And maybe I'll be proven wrong in Avatar 3. Maybe I will be. Right. I'm gonna see Avatar 3, and I even said earlier in this episode, I'm probably gonna finish it out because there's some interesting concepts. I honestly believe one of the things we're gonna have to deal with is like, hey, like, what if we help Earth? What if you just asked? What if you just asked the Na'vi to like, hey,
Right.
we messed up our Earth. By the way, we like put way too many greenhouse gases in it. Please help us. If that's what the final note of Avatar is, I'm okay with that. Anyway, as a movie as a whole, I think it's better than the first. That's my opinion. That's my short opinion. I tell people it's better than the first. It looks pretty. I am excited for Avatar 3, so I hope it's good.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you all said. I think I have sunk 3 hours into Avatar 2, so I will see Avatar 3 because I need to know where this is. I kind of want to see where you're headed with it. I also think that, if it is just, 4 more movies about the different tribes and what resource that they're harvesting, if we're accurate on that, I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Like, I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Like, I really
All right,
don't.
Kylo.
So, because it's going to be hard. Again, I also feel like I want to see how Cameron brings it back to the environment, because that was very much present in the first one. And yeah, the whale slaughtering scene was very like anti and like pro environmental resources.
Yes.
I will say this. It wasn't as prevalent as much as it was in the first one.
Yeah.
Not as like strong in the first one as it was in this one. So I liked it. It's enjoyable. I think you should see it. But yeah, it's pretty. Again, I get why if you were waiting for the technology to catch up so you could really do this 100% and amp it up to 11, fine. I get why you waited, and it definitely shows, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So
before we end, I know we're at the 2-hour mark. I didn't realize Kate Winslet was in this movie, by the way, until someone was like, well, how is Kate Winslet? And I was like, who? And I had to look her up, and she's the spiritual leader, the wife in for the water folks.
I think she broke the record for how long she held her.
Yeah, she had to hold her breath underwater.
I feel bad. Like, Kate Winslet, you're a legend. Like, salute to you. Titanic was an informative memory for me. Salute to you. But yeah, I had no idea Kate Winslet was in this.
Yeah.
Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be in Avatar next.
Probably.
Probably.
That's coming. I want to say one more thing. It has nothing to do with this point.
All right.
It has something to do with the technology. Give me more Speed Racer, but with Avatar technology.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I watched it on a plane as I came here, and that movie, y'all, 10 out of fucking 10.
I love that Speed Racer was one of the first movies we bonded over, and we are ending this season talking about Speed Racer. I couldn't imagine a better literary symmetry device.
Look at us.
That's amazing.
Check that bitch.
Thought, huh?
Yeah.
Gentlemen, speaking of things that you'd like to plug, Brian, anything that you would like to plug this week?
Hey, folks, this is the last episode. We're recording this on December 19th. That means you got 6. Well, yeah. I mean, mostly 6 nights to get your stuff in order for Christmas, before the big day. The December 25th, or Yule, however you celebrate. Anyway, go to thelovenerds.com. They got recipes. If you got people coming over, we'll make it easy for you. Just copy and paste all that stuff into your like Walmart grocery order that's for delivery. Whatever. I don't care. Wherever you're getting groceries from, we'll give you an easy recipe. My wife runs the site. She won't do you wrong. She's got a great jalapeno dip. It'll make you the talk of the party. Go to thelovenerds.com.
Absolutely.
THELOVENERDS.com.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Marcus.
Awesome.
Of course.
Marcus, anything that you have to plug, sir?
You know what the deal is. Follow the mantra. Never offended, always humble. Go buy yourself some merch. Go listen to some music. Go play some music. Marcus Destin, Soul Tie. Support this podcast any way that you can. Anything that I'm doing, you should be supporting. If you love me, you should love it in return. So
true.
But before anything else, as you go into the new year, always remember to follow the mantra. Never offended, always humble. You did.
Absolutely. And the only thing I have to plug is this podcast. Y'all, season 3 has been a ton of fun.
Oh, man.
We're very excited for what's coming in season 4.
Season 3.
As we have acknowledged throughout all of this, like, there are going to be some big things that are coming in season 4. We want you along for the ride. So enjoy this episode. Go back to and listen to the episodes. I didn't see it, and I'm not going to move on. I didn't see it, and I won't acknowledge it. And so we're going to do some big things. Go back and listen to the episodes we referenced. And yeah, we will see you in 2023 for season 4.
Check that, bitch. Because listen, if you thought who would have thought we would be here for 3
Not me.
seasons?
Over 100 episodes.
Not me.
Over 100 episodes. We're ranked number 75 in the Czech Republic. You know
Yeah, we
what
are.
I mean? They
Hold on.
love us. We can't even get through the goddamn crowd without having to give out autographs and
Prague-
shit.
Prague-
You know
we
what I
can't
mean?
go to
We go
Prague
to
anymore.
Prague. We can't even eat dinner.
Dude,
Okay?
we can't even go. I can't even peacefully eat a goddamn Czech
No.
steak without
No.
get
No.
off me. Get stop
No.
touching me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely
But
not.
wait till we do. Just imagine the shit we're about to do in season 4. Crazy.
I would love if we were just big in like obscure countries. Like
Just we're
wait,
international.
just wait till Sweden catches the filmed in black and white bug. Like wait, you know what? You think we're big now? Wait till Greenland catches on.
Yeah.
we were
Wait till
big
they
in
get that
India
heat.
for a minute there, right? Like
Right.
a lot of our viewership came from India. So India,
Yep.
Czech Republic, they know about
Yep.
us.
We're
We'll go do a
so
live show. We'll go do a live show in India. We'll go to
Yeah.
Prague. We'll
Yeah.
visit all y'all. Just
I don't
yeah,
know
keep
if this is a
listening.
live show.
When
anymore.
America won't appreciate you, guess what? Someone else will.
That's true.
Check
Um,
that, bitch.
Gentlemen, we have a 3-step process to success. Brian, the first step, please.
Hey
Please.
folks. Hey folks.
No,
You
man.
should
We've been
read-
here for 2 hours. All of a sudden,
It's
everybody
true.
want to start. He's trying to skip
It's
out
true.
on this shit. Look, we should bask. We should stride across their bones, huh?
Thank you, Dark Side. My favorite Dark Side.
Don't
Look,
want
what I'm
to
saying
meet
is if you want to know what Marcus is talking about, read a book. Okay. Read a book. I talked about Dune. If you're like, what's Dune? It's a book.
It's a book.
Just stop listening to this podcast. Go read a
Now.
book. Go read
Look,
Dune. Because guess what? All of your
favorite.
favorite movies, they're based on a book. I guarantee it. And go read the book and you're going to enjoy the movie tenfold. Go read a book to enjoy movies.
It's true. Nobody talking. I'm about to play some music real quick. Okay, it takes a
Okay. We'll just wait.
All right, I think we're good to go.
Okay. To drink some water. Look, y'all, go into 2023 with a full glass of water, feeling well hydrated. It's important that you do so, or otherwise you could be looking ashy or just feeling kind of gross. So make sure you drink enough water. And I'm gonna and just keep in mind, if you're gonna drink Rumple Mints, you got to balance that out with some water, or you're gonna wake up feeling it. So I'm gonna kick it on over to the man, the myth, the legend,
Listen,
Marcus Day for the last step.
I
Strike
want my
in.
brothers in pod to lift their drinks up. All right, I think Brian's done with his drink now, but
I did.
may or may not have finished it. Listen, congratulations on
We did it, y'all.
3
We did it, y'all.
fantabulous seasons of this fucking podcast.
Hear,
Okay,
hear.
we are the best fucking podcast when it comes to film, television, pop culture. We really do this shit in real life. Okay, we are for the average fan, and if you're not listening to us, guess what? At this point, we are no longer begging you. You are missing out on this shit yourself. Okay, they know about us in the Czech Republic. They know about us in India.
true.
They know about us in my mama house. Okay, because they listen. You know what I mean? If you're not listening, that's on you. But cheers to these great gentlemen on a wonderful fucking season. I cannot wait to see what we do next. And the final step is you cannot listen to us if you don't wash your ass, okay? Because that is just the final step of the step. It's the triangle, and the strongest part of the triangle is having fresh ass and fresh ass crack. So use some baby wipes, not just the towels. Use some witch hazel wipes, because that cures up anything you got going on down there. Make sure you drink enough water. You don't want a hemorrhoid. You don't want to get a hemi or anything like that. Do your part. Drink some water, and tune in for season 4.
Absolutely. Well, we hope everybody has an enjoyable holiday season. Happy Hanukkah
Please.
to those who celebrate. It's the second night of Hanukkah, I believe.
It is the second night of Hanukkah.
So enjoy that. And stay safe, stay healthy over this time. Enjoy kicking it with your loved ones. And we will see you all for season 4 coming soon.
Check
Please
that
rest.
bitch.
Check that bitch.
Check that bitch. Air water.